expert asphalt maintenance at gopavutah.com. That's gopavutah.com. I'm Aubrey Withrich in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, we got the high of 96 today and 100 tomorrow. Right now, we're already at 75 degrees and rising in Salt Lake City.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
9 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top story this hour. Firefighters spent the night battling a 3-alarm fire near 300 South Main Street in downtown Salt Lake City that ended up severely damaging 4 businesses. The fire broke out around 8:40 last night, and it's now out, but there is still a heavy smell of smoke in the area.
Folks in the area, if you can't stay inside your home, close all the doors, close all the windows, try to stay out of being in the open area or open air. Just stay in your homes and close your windows and maybe even turn off your HVAC.
That's Salt Lake City Fire Division Chief Bob Silverthorne. Nobody inside or around those buildings were hurt. One firefighter sustained minor injuries. The cause of the fire is under investigation. Our top national story from ABC News. Strikes are hitting Ukraine just days before President Trump's scheduled meeting with Russian President Vladimir Putin.
President Trump suggests Russia and Ukraine could swap land, something Zelensky has said he would not approve on his own.
I was a little bothered by the fact that Zelensky was saying, well, I have to get constitutional approval. I mean, he's got approval to go into war and kill everybody, but he needs approval to do a land swap because there'll be some land swapping going on.
Zelensky says Russia is trying to deceive the U.S. and is calling for tougher sanctions. Neither Zelensky nor European leaders have been invited to this week's summit.
ABC News Chief Global Affairs anchor Martha Raddatz reporting. Well, stocks are surging right now. The Dow Index up 479 points since the opening bell. That's over a full percent to 44,454. Coming up, it's going to get hot today, even hotter tomorrow. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time 9:02.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
Andy, my husband and I had Bedrock Quartz redo 3 bathrooms for us, 2 in the old house and 1 in the new house. And I loved working with them for so many reasons. One of which is that they're like a 4-generation family-owned business here in Utah that has been installing countertops and making beautiful kitchens and bathrooms for years and years.
Well, at my house, I suffer from what's called paralysis of choice. When you've got something as wide-ranging with the different types of counters that they offer with quartz, quartzite, like I didn't even know what the difference between those things are. I'm going to need that kind of help when I go through the process.
Oh, they have wonderful designers. Plus, when you go in their showrooms, it's super easy. At station number 1, you select your color and your material. Then you go to station number 2. And you pick out your backsplash, and then you go to number 3, and you select your faucets. It's so easy to do.
They've got what's called employee pricing for everyone. This is the first time they've ever offered this.
For the month of July through August, everyone gets the friends and family discount.
They've got 9 locations near you from Layton to St. George, including a new one in Salt Lake City. BedrockQuartz.com. That's BedrockQuartz.com.
I used to get overwhelmed at the grocery store. One minute I'm reading a label that says healthy. Next thing I know, it's packed with sugar and stuff I can't pronounce. That's when Soda stepped in. When I started the program, I didn't just get a food plan, I got a lifeline. I lost 82 pounds in 16 weeks. But more than that, I learned how to eat smart, shop smart, stay on track even when life gets messy. I could text my Soda nutritionist from aisle 5 and get instant help. That's support you don't get from a label. This isn't about being perfect, it's about being prepared. And with Soda, I finally felt in control of my health and my habit. Go to SOTAweightloss.com. SOTAweightloss.com. SOTA. It stands for State of the Art. Click the Request Nutritionist callback. Get to it. You can do it. You know how I know you can do it? Because I did it. SOTAweightloss.com. SOTAweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Summer's here. Get ready for backyard barbecues, trips to the pool, and COVID-19?
That's right. COVID isn't taking this summer off and can actually spread year-round. I'm Dr. Simone Wiles, and as an infectious disease expert, I know my patients are often surprised by this fact. They don't expect COVID to strike in the summer and derail their plans, but guess what? It can. COVID can be unpredictable and quickly turn serious, especially for those who are 50 plus or have certain underlying medical conditions. The good news is that if you start feeling sick or test positive, you don't need to wait it out. Prescription medications exist to treat COVID for certain people. If you catch COVID this summer, don't delay. Ask your doctor if prescription medication is right for you. Learn more at pfizerforall.com/COVID-19.
This message is sponsored by Pfizer.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Let's check in again with Heather Kelly.
We still have some pretty slow traffic northbound I-15 from Main Street and Lehigh all the way into downtown Salt Lake, but those delays are breaking up, especially in the Salt Lake Valley. And you're going to have slowdown southbound I-15 between Kaysville and Farmington, where we have the lane restrictions in place again this morning. And if you're eastbound I-80, that right lane between Kimball Junction and US 40 is very slow and backed up, as it is almost every day. IFA's Step 3 fertilizer gives your lawn the nutrients it needs to stay green in the summer heat. IFA Country Stores, helping to grow the things you love. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, sunny. Highs in the upper 90s, 96 the high we're looking for tomorrow. 100, and then it starts to cool off, and by Friday we might even be seeing some possible monsoonal rain. Right now it's 77 degrees and sunny in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Last night, a fire broke out on Salt Lake City's Main Street. This was the 3rd South block on the east side of Main Street. It impacted several businesses there. Here's one witness who spoke with KSL TV.
This is absolutely crazy because there are very prominent liquor bars, in this stretch. And so I was scared the whole block went into flames.
It sounds like there were multiple restaurants impacted. They include London Bell, Whitehorse, Los Tapatios, and Whiskey Street. We're talking about 320 to about 330 South Main Street impact that area. I used to office right there on 341 South Main, so just a few buildings down.
Tell me about that area, because I'm not really familiar with it, but I know you know it.
It's a beautiful area, and these businesses, I'm very familiar with them, had just done, within the last maybe 5 or 10 years, some major renovations. They were beautiful. I mean, it was either Whiskey Street or Whitehorse. One of them had it just created this beautiful bar and restaurant area. The woodwork on there, it was just spectacular. I mean, they must just be sick, because the pictures I've seen today make it seem like there's almost a total loss. Salt Lake City Fire provided an update last night on the buildings being impacted.
From my understanding, this building is essentially, it's kind of 4 buildings kind of piled into one. The 2 center buildings are mostly what is the body of the fire. Those are 2-story buildings, and then just adjacent to those to the north and the south share a 5-story building on either side. It's pretty unlikely that they'll be able to occupy and operate as normal. This is a 3rd alarm fire with still an active firefight, and we're 2 hours into this, so I can't anticipate maybe going back in service. Even the adjacent buildings that probably haven't been involved have some sort of water or smoke damage, even though they haven't been assaulted by fire.
So I know this morning they've said that the fire is out, but the pictures, right, even from above, it's like it's just completely destroyed from behind the facade. So you can see the front part of the building, but then everything behind it is just gone.
Yeah, and these were, who knows how it started. I mean, there are restaurants, bars, and other shops there, so there are several things that could have started it. But the significance, the breadth, I guess, of this fire was such that I think they had something like 75 to 80 firefighters there, 3-alarm fire. I mean, this was pretty big, and I don't know, I guess I missed it. I didn't, because I office not far from there, wasn't aware of it. It must have been fairly late in the evening when it started, and those are places that would have been full of people. I'm not hearing anything about people being hurt, but I'm sure there was a significant evacuation of that area.
Right, that's what I heard. I think I heard the first phone call came in around 8:30 last night, and then I'm not sure when they had it all the way out, but I know that it was the leading news story on pretty much every news station last night and then early this morning as well.
Yeah, they put the location of the fire at 321 South Main, which I think is the London Bell address, but it also included White Horse, Los Tapatíos, and Whiskey Street. There are 4 businesses there, very, very close to each other, and I think some of them are owned by the same companies. I mean, White Horse and Whiskey Street are somehow related. I know that they're similar, and very popular places at night. I mean, if you go down Main Street on a weekend night, that area is packed. It's hard to get parking. It's hard to get restaurant reservations, and they're packed for a reason. Those are very successful buildings or businesses. They've done very, very well, and I think Salt Lake's done a very good job of making Main Street beautiful and making it more accessible. I know Salt Lake, sometimes you have problems that we don't have these pedestrian walkways in these areas that some of these cities do, but we've done a very good job in downtown Salt Lake of making Main Street accessible, and so it's tragic to see such successful and beautiful buildings as these get burned.
I didn't walk by this morning, but I understand you can smell the fire still, and I think that will linger for quite a while.
Yeah, I mean, I think we're going to have Adam Small on shortly, but it would be nice to talk to some of the city officials, too. I know that they still have fire on the scene, and it looks like they've got it all fenced off so that you can't get too close to the fire because who knows what's still going on there. And the businesses there, Holly, it's almost like a continuous building from 3rd to 4th South on Main Street. They're not, but they're literally wall to wall.
Right.
So if you get a lot of smoke in one building, it's going to affect the other. So I don't know how much of that block is just shut down entirely today. But if you think about the 3rd to 4th South block on Main Street, it includes some fairly significant buildings, office buildings, law offices. I think the Newhouse building is right there. The Felt building. I mean, a lot of these buildings are not necessarily in the path of the fire, but in the path of the smoke of the fire that would have had some problems. So at KSL News Radio, Adam Small has been at the scene, and I think he's live on the scene now. Adam, thank you for joining us this morning.
Yeah, you bet, guys. Obviously, I just tuning in now because I actually was just speaking with Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson, who's just one of many people who are just devastated by what's happened here near 300 South Main Street. Just kind of catching people up to speed here. So it's 4 local businesses that have been severely damaged, close to destroyed, depending on your definition of the words. But London Bell, Los Tapatíos, White Horse, and Whiskey Street, all just the roof has completely come down. There's charred wood, debris. You can literally see the ventilation systems for the building just down on the floor. Sunlight shining on the inside of the building just kind of goes to show how much damage was done here. You've got glass, bricks, other debris literally being carried by leftover firefighter water, rushing down the street into drains. It's very extensive damage all morning long. There's been people, just locals, whether it be, people connected to these businesses or just people living nearby, are people that love going to these businesses for a bite to eat, a good drink. They're coming by, taking pictures, just hands over their mouths, just devastated by what happened here last night.
Do you have any information on what might have caused this, what might have started this fire?
So right now it's to be determined. So we have confirmed with firefighters that the call came in. KSL TV's Brian Carlson's been on the scene. We've been communicating with each other. Firefighters told him this morning that the call came in as a kitchen fire. I actually met one of the business owners of one of the businesses that was severely damaged, and he wasn't comfortable doing an interview yet today. He's still pretty much in shock and giving him some time to work with insurance and everything. He told me that according to a staff member, either at his business or one of the neighboring ones, told them that they think it started inside London Bell. And again, that call came in as a kitchen fire. That's just what I've gathered from people here. But firefighters saying it could take potentially 2 weeks to get an official cause of the fire, where it started, and kind of getting that official end of things. But that's just what I've heard from just people I've talked to here on the ground today, that it was a kitchen fire. From what I've heard from a business owner, started within London Bell, but again, that's still to be determined by fire investigators.
Adam, we've only got about 30 seconds, but let me ask you a quick question. Can you tell us the status of any of the adjoining buildings? Have they evacuated those, or they're not letting the tenants into those because they're law offices and other offices in that area that I'm very familiar with?
Yeah, so it looks, from what I've seen, those businesses, there's no tape or anything blocking them. I've seen people, buildings all around have been able to go into work. There are a couple of businesses like on the end of like the one main structure that caught on fire. For what I've been hearing, it looks like they've been able to escape without major damage. So it looks like, from what I've counted at least, it looks like 2 of 6 or 2 of 5 businesses in this little one wide building. Looks like at least one got without major damage, but other businesses, people are able to go in and out, but it's mainly these 4 businesses that really got the worst of it.
Thank you so much for joining us, Adam. I know that there's a press conference at 10 o'clock, and so we'll be able to cover that as well. And when we come back, it's primary election day in Utah, and we will get to talk with Utah's Lieutenant Governor about everything you need to know right after the break.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
18 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
You worked hard for your 401k, but if you've left your job, your money might be sitting in the wrong hands. I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and it's very possible that the 401k that you have had for years has hidden fees and limited investment choices. But if you're no longer with the company, that 401k may be at the mercy of your former employer. All of these things could be costing you thousands. Rolling over your 401k into an IRA can provide better investment options that align with your long-term goals. At Trajan Wealth, we're fiduciary advisors that are held to a higher standard with no hidden agenda and no hidden fees. Don't let your retirement dollars sit in an old plan, and don't roll it over to your new plan without consulting Trajan Wealth first. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Advisory services are offered through Trajan Wealth, LLC, an SEC-registered investment.
It's the final countdown during Motorsportsland's summer clearance event. We've got to make room for next year's inventory, so now's your chance to save tens of thousands on in-stock models before they're gone. Chase sunsets, roast marshmallows, and make memories that stick long after the trip is over. Want adventure on a budget? You're in luck. We have travel trailers from just $6 a day and fifth wheels starting under $14 a day. Whether it's quick weekend getaways or long summer road trips, we've got the RV to fit your lifestyle. And remember, our prices include freight, prep, propane, and even personalized RV training at no extra charge. Other dealers, they'll stack on outrageous fees and pretend it's standard. But at Motorsportsland, we don't play that game. We've been family-owned and proudly local for over 55 years, doing business the honest way. So skip the gimmicks, shop where the pros shop, and let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Let Motorsportsland help you get away.
Motorsportsland.com.
When it comes to vaping, the truth can get clouded. So let's make it clear. Vaping is not safe for youth.
Because vaping can put microscopic particles into your lungs.
And dangerous things like metals into your body.
And nicotine, which can harm a person's brain development through their mid-20s.
With appealing flavors, high nicotine levels, and lots of promotion on social media.
Many kids think vaping is harmless, but it's not.
So talk to your kids about the risks of vaping.
Because when you talk, they hear you.
Learn more at underagedrinking.samhsa.gov.
Everybody knows that exterior remodeling salespeople are all about the high-pressure sell. Am I right? Windows, siding, gutters, those suckers are going to twist your arm and get you to buy, or they won't leave your house at night. Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors, and I want you to know we don't have high-pressure sells. In fact, we don't even have salespeople. Nope, we have estimators. That's a huge difference. Estimators are trained to look at the entire scope of the project, to see and know if there are any problems, like rotten wood, wood-borne insects, or construction issues specific to your house or your neighbors. Salespeople are more concerned about playing those silly price games. Buy one, get one free, sign today and get 40% off, as if they didn't just jack the price up to give you a fake discount. RGS Exteriors estimators are going to give you a great quote. No games, no tricks, no nonsense. Call RGS Exteriors to quote your exterior project. Our number is 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsutah.com. That's rgsutah.com.
People think saving money is hard, but really, it's easy. It's as simple as changing a few spending habits. For free tips on how to save the easy way, check out feedthepig.org. That's feedthepig.org. This message brought to you by the American Institute of CPAs and the Ad Council.
And expanded Inside Sources.
It's the most wonderful time.
Okay, I have to confess. I get here this morning and I'm like, Holly, primary election day is coming up really soon. We should do something for that. And she said, Greg, it's today. I've been telling you for all last week, it's Tuesday. And sure enough, it is. I actually had to hand deliver my ballot on Sunday because I was near the library in my town. But yeah, today's primary election day, and it is, for Holly and I, the most wonderful time of the year.
This and the first Tuesday in November, right? So we actually have on the line with us Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson. She's also the state elections officer. And we wanted to ask you, what are your feelings on Election Day?
Well, good morning. It's great to be with both of you. Every election day is wonderful, and today is no exception. It's municipal primary election day. Happy Election Day, everybody!
Yay!
Yeah, so it is a municipal primary election. There's not a lot going on. I know in my area there were some, but what are we hearing so far, Lieutenant Governor, about voter turnout? I know it's still early, but do we think that there's going to be a significant number?
We're hearing a lot of crickets, Greg. Yeah. That's what we're hearing. Municipal elections are a little bit more challenging because not every municipality has one, and especially not every municipality has a primary election. So it's a little bit, it's a challenging time of year. It's August. A lot of kids are going back to school this week. People just aren't really thinking about it. But it is important. So if you have a ballot sitting on your kitchen counter, today is the day. To return it. Do not put it in the mail. Go put it in a ballot drop box at your city. Almost every city office, I believe, is going to have a drop box that you can put it in. You can get on vote.utah.gov to find out where yours is. You can go vote in person if you want to. There's a lot of information there at vote.utah.gov.
What's our deadline for today?
8 p.m. The polls will close at 8 p.m. So this is the first election after the new change to the law that passed earlier this year that says that instead of having a postmark deadline, remember we used to say, okay, postmark your ballots the day before Election Day, and then, whenever they get there, they'll get counted as long as they're postmarked the day before Election Day. That is no longer the law. Now, it doesn't matter when your ballot was postmarked. It has to be in your clerk, your election official's hand by close of polls on Election Day. So it's too late to postmark it, obviously, but you can put it in a drop box. That counts until 8 p.m. tonight, or you can go vote in person.
So I'm so used to, I think a lot of us are, the efficiency of mail-in voting, and of course I dropped mine in the box, but for people that have done neither and want to go to a poll, how can they find out the location for their particular area?
Vote.utah.gov. That can give you all the information you need, including whether or not your municipality is holding a primary. So if you don't have a ballot or you don't remember getting a ballot, you can go just verify that your city's not having a primary election today, or find out that they are. And if you're not registered to vote, you can go in and register to vote in person and cast a provisional ballot, which will be counted after your clerk verifies your eligibility to actually vote. That's something that we do in Utah. I think that's really good and really important. You can also get online at BallotTrax, or sign up for BallotTrax, which it's
an app.
Oh gosh, it's on our vote.utah.gov.
It's
TRAX.
Yeah.
Yeah, but we changed it so it's trackmyballot.utah.gov. So trackmyballot.utah.gov.
Great.
You can sign up and get all of these notifications.
So I know for me that when my ballot was mailed, I actually got a text message that said, hey, your ballot has been mailed. So I just dropped mine in the drop box yesterday. I'm proud of myself for not waiting till the last day.
I did too last night.
It sits on my counter forever, and it's like if I don't vote the first week, it's going to be the last. So I will just say for voters in the Alpine School District, I live in an area, I live in Pleasant Grove City. We do not have municipal primaries. We do have a municipal election, but there weren't enough candidates to need a primary. But there are 5 school board candidates on my ballot because we have the Alpine School District split, and it's going into 3 different school districts. So anybody who is currently in Alpine School District, there were 77 people who filed to run, 7 dropped out, leaving 70 candidates for 21 spots. So there are definitely primaries there. Yeah.
You know, and that's, people just don't realize that these municipal elections, the municipal primaries, these are maybe not as well publicized. People don't pay as much attention, but these are the elections where we make decisions about who's going to make decisions about us, things that affect our lives directly and immediately. They're so important. You can also find bios of the candidates running in all of these local races on vote.utah.gov. So we've got a lot of information on the state website. These candidates are accessible. It's not too late to find out about them, find out who you're going to vote for. Don't let not knowing the candidates prevent you from voting. Take a few minutes and learn about the candidates. And you'll get another shot at it in November.
We were speaking this morning with our Lieutenant Governor, Deidre Henderson. And Lieutenant Governor, since it is a little bit less, less involved election, not as many people are coming out, and mail-in voting is really required to come in earlier, and polls close at 8. Those are 3 predecessors to my question here. I would expect, I guess, that we may have results back sooner than we often do.
Yeah, I mean, possibly. I'm not the one who processes those ballots, so those are done by the county clerks. In some very few instances by a municipality. But yes, you can get on your county clerk's website tonight and find those results, presumably shortly after 8 p.m.
Refresh.
Preliminary results.
Yeah, right,
Yep, exactly. And just to put it into perspective, so far out of all the ballots mailed out in Salt Lake County, there have been 17% of those ballots returned. So
that's a very low number.
And countywide, there are a lot of places around the county that you can go in person and vote. As of about 45 minutes or so ago, there were 38 in-person voters in Salt Lake County, countywide.
Wow.
So get out and vote, guys.
I have a quick question before we let you go. You have a special visitor today, and I would love you to tell our listeners about her.
I do. So, it's even more special that this is happening today on a municipal primary election day. I have Seraph Young's 3rd great-granddaughter visiting the state of Utah today. She's 14, and she's from back east. This is her very first trip out to Utah. Seraph Young, to refresh everyone's memories, was the woman in 1870 who became the first woman in America to vote under an equal suffrage law. And she voted in a municipal election on February 14th, 1870. And her great-great-great-granddaughter is in town today. And I'm so excited to meet with her, to show her the big mural of her great-great-great-grandma on the wall that presides over the House chamber, to show her the building that her great-great-great-grandmother cast that historic first ballot in. Hope is her name, and I'm really excited to visit with her. I have met her before, 5 years ago, at Arlington National Cemetery. She was there when we got the new headstone for Seraph Young. Her headstone had been misspelled. She's buried in Arlington, and we got a new headstone for her. And Hope was there. She was 9 at the time, and I'm so excited to meet with her again.
Thank you for joining us this morning. That was Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson joining us this morning, and it is primary election day, so get out and vote. And we didn't get into it, but I want to talk. Maybe we can a little bit over the next segment about ranked choice voting and how that works and how it plays into municipal primary elections.
There's only 4,
right? There aren't a lot going because of ranked choice voting, which sort of
it's going away. This is the last election where they'll use it.
Oh, it was
in
just
Utah.
An experimental thing.
Yep.
Oh, I kind of like it. I mean, I don't know.
Too bad.
Yeah, really. Well, hey, when we come back, here's my fun fact of the day. I get to jump over Holly on this one. It's National Poll Worker Recruitment Day. And you know what? I've never been a poll worker, but I'm going to someday.
Okay.
I think it'd be fun to do. I think it's the kind of thing you can't do if you're working full-time, but maybe your employer will give you a day off. When we come, we're going to continue to have our conversation about elections, about primary elections, about municipal elections when we come back.
9:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Andy Farnsworth. KSL's top local story this hour. Firefighters spent the night battling a 3-alarm fire near 300 South Main Street in downtown Salt Lake City. 4 businesses were destroyed. Others were lucky to be spared. Peter Marshall owns Utah Book and Magazine. When he's asked how he was feeling, he said this.
A little shaky. You know, this is my livelihood. 109 years in business, you know. Never had nothing like this in all the years we've been in business.
Marshall says he's grateful his business was okay, but he's sad for his friends and fellow business owners. The Deer Creek fire, now 100% contained. It's been a long process with the initial discovery reported on July 10th. It burned more than 17,700 acres and more than 400 personnel worked to fight it. Investigators believe it was human-caused and have identified a suspect. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. Last month, it was a stabbing at a Michigan Walmart. Yesterday, it was a shooting at a Target store in Texas. ABC's Jim Ryan tells us about the latest act of violence at a big box location.
Just after 2 in the afternoon, Target employee Marcos Torres' radio crackled to life.
I heard 2 gunshots. I ran towards the front to see what was going on.
3 people would die of gunshot wounds. A 4th person was hurt before the suspect was tracked down and arrested. Back at the original Target.
I always thought that this only happened in the movies, but now that it happened to me at my workplace, I'm shocked, I'm shaken.
Police have not disclosed a motive, but say the suspect has a history of mental illness. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Your money at this moment, the Dow has surged today at up 439 points to 44,414. That is up a full percent. Coming up. Traffic has improved a lot over what was a very busy morning. Traffic and weather together is coming up next. KSL News Time 9:31.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
I'm Jordan Wilcox, your Utah tax attorney. When life gets overwhelming, some things tend to fall by the side.
I'm Carlos Sanchez from Draper, Utah. I was managing a business, helping out a business, doing paperwork and getting paid, and my wife got sick. We filed taxes, but then we got audited. And when I went and talked to the IRS, they didn't give me any choice. The IRS pretty much said, this is what you owe us, when are you gonna pay us? And we're talking quite a bit. But every time I drive, I listen to the radio. Jordan Wilcox, Jordan Wilcox. So I figure there's a reason these guys on the radio. So I called them.
Put an end to IRS collection and aggression today.
The amount that the IRS came up with, close to $250,000, and the offer and compromise was about $7,600. That's it.
This is Utah tax attorney Jordan Wilcox. Let's solve your IRS nightmare. Visit endtaxworry.com.
Go for it. The outcome, it was worth it. I'm okay.
endtaxworry.com.
Have old jewelry you never wear? A diamond that's been passed down but doesn't quite feel like you? At Duke's Jewelers, they specialize in remounting and custom design. Whether it's refreshing a cherished heirloom or creating something completely new, they'll help you bring your vision to life. Bring in your own diamonds, gemstones, or even gold. They'll start with a one-on-one consultation, sketch ideas together, and create detailed CAD renderings so you can see exactly what your new piece will look like. They even offer 3D resin models so you can try it on before it's in production. It's personal, it's collaborative, and it's all done with the quality and care you've come to expect from a 4th-generation jeweler. Visit Duke's Jewelers in Springville, where your old treasures become new favorites. That's Duke's Jewelers. DukesJewelers.com.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
I'm Ed Evans, CEO of Consumer Cellular. We're dedicated to serving people 50 and up, like me. Our needs are different. Big Wireless wants us in an unlimited plan, but if you're not using all that data, you're probably getting used. At Consumer Cellular, we're focused on affordable, reliable plans, including data that suits your needs, not ours. Our plans start at just $20, and you'll get the best customer service in the business.
Call 1-888-FREEDOM or visit consumercellular.com/facts. Plans include $5 credit for auto pay and e-billing. See site for additional facts.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, the length of the delays getting out of Utah County have shortened considerably, but you are still at a crawl, barely going 25 miles an hour northbound I-15 between 2100 North and the Timpanogos Highway exits in Lehigh. Now, once you get past Timpanogos Highway, speeds improve a bit, maybe to 45 miles an hour as you go over the point of the mountain to about Bangerter Highway. After that, you're mostly at freeway speeds into downtown. For those of you on Bangerter Highway, southbound Bangerter, there's a crash on the exit ramp to 104th South in South Jordan. That's the South Jordan Parkway. Only one left lane is open on that exit ramp. The good news is we don't have a lot of traffic in that area to cause any type of delay. Ready to get rid of that old car? Donate it to Cars for Kids. Your car can be picked up as soon as tomorrow. Call 877-CARS-FOR-KIDS or visit carsforkids.org to donate. That's CARS with a K. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
KSL weather today, it's going to be hot, high of 96 degrees, but not as hot as it could get tomorrow, where we're looking at a possible 100-degree day. It drops back to 96 on Thursday and then cools, in air quotes, to 94 degrees on Friday, where we might actually get a little bit of rain. Right now it is 77 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Andy Farnsworth from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
Inside Sources.
Welcome back to Inside Sources, and today is Municipal Primary Election Day. You'd think, Holly, maybe that's not the most interesting election time of the year.
Just for political nerds like us.
But we have interviewed a few election officials over the last week or two and who talked about how important these municipal elections are because it's kind of where the rubber meets the road. I mean, we can vote for president or for our Congress members or senators, but when you're talking about school board or your mayor or your city council, those are often people that are going to affect your daily life more than your national representatives.
Like even if you can have chickens in your backyard, that's a municipal level issue, right? And it can be controversial.
Right. Or if you're going to have water. And, it's incredibly important. Just I'll kind of digress for a minute. In my own area, up in the Ogden Valley, we voted last year to incorporate. And
so you'll become a new city.
Right. Yes. It's historically there's been Huntsville, Eden, and Liberty up there, and they've sort of coexisted, but they've all been part of Weber County. They still will be part of Weber County, but they've been sort of overseen by Weber County. They now have voted to incorporate that area, and I voted against it, but my wife voted for it. Anyway, the fours won. So we're having an election up there for the first time in history of whether or not and who should be the mayor. They've got city council representatives running. Right. And I was surprised, and you're going to talk about school boards, at the number of people that signed up to do that. Yeah. There were a lot of people that signed up, and it's just the primary. But I think we probably had 5 or 6 mayoral candidates, and on the city council, maybe my area is just limited to one of the council members, but there were probably 6 or 8. And for me, I was embarrassed because I didn't know them as well as I should have. Yeah. So I had to go read in the local paper and, of course, talk to my wife and others about who to vote for. But, yeah, it was fun. It was kind of an exciting time.
Yeah, always talk to your wife.
Yes, right.
The women in the household know.
She does know. She's up to speed on it. I was not.
Look, it really is where the rubber meets the road, and it's where you see your neighbors, right, in the grocery store, and they may be on the city council or they may be the mayor, right? And so these elections, it's important to get out there. Now, again, the lieutenant governor, who was just on with us on the last segment, reminded us not every municipality has a primary election. Sometimes it's because they just didn't have enough candidates. If you have fewer than two candidates or two or fewer candidates for one spot, then you don't need a primary, right? So she also reminded us that today's deadline to get your ballot in, you have until 8 p.m.
This is the first election after the new change to the law that passed earlier this year that says that instead of having a postmark deadline, remember we used to say, okay, postmark your ballots the day before Election Day, and then, whenever they get there, they'll get counted as long as they're postmarked the day before Election Day. That is no longer the law. Now, it doesn't matter when your ballot was postmarked. It has to be in your clerk, your election official's hand by close of polls on Election Day. So it's too late to postmark it, obviously, but you can put it in a drop box. That counts until 8 p.m. tonight, or you can go vote in person.
So I have to ask you this, Holly. Are there races, not necessarily in your area, but around the state that you're taking a special interest in? And I know that you're probably knowing all of them, but are there any particular that you're watching closely?
Well, one of the things that's interesting is even for me, I'm more focused on the area where I live. And so we have, as I've mentioned, we've got this school board election as we've got the school board split happening. One of the things that's interesting to me there is our current mayor is not running for re-election as mayor, but he's running as a candidate for school board. So that's an interesting shift. But there are mayoral races up and down the state where there are incumbent mayors who've been, from my outside perspective, relatively popular, who actually have a number of candidates running for mayor against these incumbents. Now, I can't speak to any specific race, but I will just say in general, when you have an incumbent who has multiple candidates against him or her, that incumbent will have the advantage because the people who are running against that person are going to split the vote for the people who are not happy with that mayor, right? Or that candidate, House member, whatever, right? So they have an advantage there. So if you say, well, I've already decided I don't want to vote for Mayor XYZ, so I have 4 candidates to choose from, for example, if you've got 5 people in the race, that advantages the incumbent.
Speaking of school boards, it seems like a really altruistic goal. I mean, to be on the school board, to serve on the school board. But do you remember last week we were talking about 3 school boards, Tooele, Granite, and Alpine, and they were having board meetings, to raise property taxes.
Yeah.
And they were contentious. I mean, about as contentious as anything you would see on a state or national level.
Yeah.
And so these people are running for a school board position. I can't imagine you get anything, paid for something like that. Or maybe there's some stipend or something. I don't actually know,
but if there is a stipend, it's not a lot.
Right. And they do that for the public good, but they're going to these meetings that are doing things that affect, like I said before, that affects their constituents as much as anything else. They're talking about a tax increase on their property. Nobody wants tax on their real estate.
And I think if I understand correctly, all of the school districts that talked about a tax increase did pass it. Weber County, for example, Weber School District, 21% increase.
Right.
Alpine School District, 11.5%. And Granite, maybe 9%, somewhere in there. Like every school board that I know of that had a proposal to increase taxes did raise those taxes this year. And last night, this is not related to school board elections, but related to taxes. There was a water district in Salt Lake County that voted to raise taxes. It'll affect 800,000 households. But again, you have all these different taxing entities, and that's one of the issues, right, for the homeowner, because it's like, okay, the city can tax me, the county can tax me, the special service district can tax me, the school board can tax me, the state can tax me, the federal government can tax me, right? It's like, enough.
Right. Let me ask you this. Can you talk to us about ranked choice voting and how that applies today? And maybe it doesn't apply today, but it's something that...
It does.
Yeah, tell our listeners.
So there are 4 municipalities in Salt Lake County that still are going to use ranked choice voting this year. This is the last year they can use it. It was a pilot program. It has phased out everywhere else except for these 4. Salt Lake City, which is a big one, South Salt Lake, Midvale, and Mill Creek. So those 4 municipalities do not have a primary election today and will not have a primary at all, because the way ranked choice voting works is you number your candidates in order. So if you have 5 candidates on the ballot and you say, here's my top choice, you give that person a number 1, and then you go to number 2, number 3. And the way the counting works is that you take all of the number ones and they get put together. And then whoever comes out on top with that first round, they will stay there. But if your candidate, if you picked a number one, but they actually came in number 5, then that person is actually dropped off the ballot. And so then the counting would go to your number 2, right? And so you just move up until you end up with a winner. So for those communities doing ranked choice voting, the candidate filing period actually opens today and goes for a week. And so those municipalities now will get to know who's going to be on their ballot in November. And then they will get to vote by ranking their favorites.
Interesting. But that's going to be a thing of the past.
Yeah, today this is the last election.
So was it like a pilot project?
It was just a pilot project through the Utah legislature, and there's only 4 left. And after November, it'll be a done deal.
Well, I hope it's something that they revisit. And speaking of revisiting, the Utah Supreme Court has revisited a dismissal of a child abuse case against a Park City tennis coach and said that case should be revived. More details and live analysis after the break. Streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com and on the app for KSL News Radio, sponsored by @YourServicePros.
I'm Woodrow, and I'm here talking to Dr. B about something a lot of guys deal with, but almost no one talks about, ED. It's way more common than people think.
Absolutely. Over 50% of men over 40 experience ED, and most never get real help. At Mint Medical, we treat the root cause, which is usually poor blood flow.
Exactly. At Mint Medical, we don't rely on pills or short-term fixes. We use acoustic wave therapy to improve circulation naturally, plus options like cryotherapy and hormone replacement therapy when needed.
Plus, it's all non-invasive, totally customized, and designed to restore function, not just cover up the symptoms.
And when guys go through treatment at Mint Medical, they often notice more energy, better mood, and real confidence again, usually in just a few weeks.
And right now, we're offering a free consultation, blood flow, ultrasound, and a proven intimacy gift, a $650 value, absolutely free.
And if you call this week, you'll also get a 5-night luxury hotel stay in Cancun just for coming in. But you have to call now, 801-804-8000. That's 801-804-8000.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
Back to school is on the brain. That means new notebooks, pencils, new everything. And while the kids are getting ready to get book smart, it's time for you to save smart with Straight Talk Wireless. Switch now and get a free Moto G 2025 with 5G when you activate select plans. Now that's a smart call. Get Straight Talk covered by Verizon's 5G network. Available at straighttalk.com and Walmart. Offer valid through 10/19/25. Taxes and fees apply. Purchase of Gold Unlimited plan or higher required for offer. Must activate the plan in-store at Walmart. Cannot be combined with other offers.
Now there's a new way to take charge of your blood sugar. Introducing new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula from the makers of the nation's best-selling garlic supplement. New Garlic helps maintain healthy blood sugar levels with clinically supported levels of garlic, plus a custom blend of vitamins and minerals. And it's odor-free. Take charge of your blood sugar with new Garlic Healthy Blood Sugar Formula. These statements have not been evaluated by the FDA. This product is not intended to diagnose, treat, cure, or prevent any disease. Use as directed.
What's up, everybody? I'm Mike Wilson with Any Hour Services, and if you have a drain that's clogged or backed up, after you've tried the plungers and products, the next step usually involves some kind of drain snake or cabling equipment. You see, sometimes the blockage is far enough down the line that you need special equipment that most homeowners just don't have. That's where the Drains Department at Any Hour Services can help. A drain snake can clear most blockages and get the water flowing again, and clearing blocked drains is what our Drains Department does day in and day out.
So if you're a homeowner with a drain line that's clogged or backed up and you'd like one of our drain technicians to come and snake the line for you, it's only $29. Yep, you heard that right. Any Hour Services will snake any drain line with normal access for only $29. Sinks, showers, tubs, toilets, floor drains, laundry drains, even that sewer main line that connects to the city. We'll snake any line for just $29. For help with your drain issues, call Any Hour Services at 801-443-7700. You can Google Any Hour Services. You can even schedule online at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
When I have an asthma attack, I feel scared.
Prevent your child's next asthma attack. Call 1-866-NO-ATTACKS. Visit www.noattacks.org or call your doctor, because even one attack is one too many. Brought to you by the EPA and the Ad Council.
The new Inside Sources.
This week, the Utah Supreme Court reversed a 3rd District Court judge's decision dismissing criminal charges, against a former Park City High School tennis coach, Lanny Wilcox, who was accused of assaulting a student and a tennis player in 2022. That case was charged against her. It was dismissed. The Supreme Court of Utah has reinstated it.
So my question for you, legal expert, why? This is more than 2 years ago that the case was dismissed. Why are they bringing it back?
Yeah, it's interesting. So Utah passed a law called justification. We've always had on our books the fact that a person is excused for their conduct if they acted in self-defense.
Okay.
And that's always been the case. However, the legislature upped the ante on that a couple years ago and allowed for what's called a justification hearing. In other words, if you're accused of a crime and you're asserting self-defense, you can actually have a hearing before a judge, and that's exactly what happened here, where you say, I'm asserting self-defense, and the judge will say, okay, state of Utah, how is this not self-defense? And they put the burden on the state. The state, according to the judge, the trial court judge, put on their case, and the judge says, I don't think you've established enough justification to get over the hurdle. I'm dismissing the case. The state appealed that, and I hope this is making sense, to the Utah Supreme Court. And the Supreme Court said, you know what? They did establish enough justification not to find her guilty, but to at least put the case in front of a jury and let a jury decide whether she was justified. So the judge took it out of the jury's hands, which happens all the time. These justification hearings happen, and it's not unusual what the judge did. What's unusual in this case, Holly, was that the state appealed it, because to my knowledge, this is the first time the Supreme Court has overturned a justification hearing dismissal.
Yeah. So is the 2-year delay, is that because that's how long the appeal process took?
Yeah, and I think it probably took some time to get to the assault allegedly occurred in 2022.
Right.
I'm sure that they filed it sometime later, had the justification hearing 2023, 24. So it took a while to get it to this point. She's not in custody, so it wouldn't have been necessarily on a fast track. But it is a felony, the child abuse charge, because an alleged chokehold was used. So that makes it serious bodily injury. It puts you in an aggravated position instead of just but hitting someone, but choking them makes it more of a violent crime.
So can you tell us what was her justification for saying this was self-defense?
Yeah, so what happened was this, and I'm sort of looking at the probable cause statement and what appears to be the evidence in the case that the state had. The student, the victim, the child, was arguing with the coach about the fact that she wasn't put on the team or didn't make the A team or whatever. She got into it with the coach, who sort of denied her that opportunity and said, "Look, I'm not going to talk about it." Then the student got into it with the teacher and actually fought with the teacher physically, and it fought with another person there physically. Now the teacher restrained the student, but in the course of restraining the student, she used a chokehold, which, if you understand our self-defense law, you can use force against force, but you can only use deadly force against another person's use of deadly force. So, example, if you try to hit me with your water bottle there, I don't get to pull out my switchblade, not that I have one. You know what I mean? To protect myself.
Yeah.
So the force has to be commensurate with the force that's being used against you.
Okay.
And I think the argument here was a chokehold, which is
an escalation, maybe?
Is more of a use of force than was justified by the student who was just acting out. Now, the student kicked another coach and pushed this particular coach. I mean, it was clearly the student was out of line, but the court said, wait a minute, you can't just use that kind of force to protect yourself. And the coach was hurt. I mean, there's no question she was hit in the face and was injured. The question was, does that justify her use of deadly force, to wit, choking somebody?
Wow. Okay, so the Supreme Court now has pushed this. I'm asking questions. Is this now going back to a lower court for it to go to trial? Is that what happens next?
Exactly. It goes back to the trial court, the judge that dismissed it.
Oh, now, same judge.
Same judge.
Oh, okay.
Because in Park City, you've only got one judge.
Okay.
But it would probably go back to the same judge anyway, because cases are assigned by judge. But so, yeah, so he'll then hear the case. I mean, not obviously, but presumably a jury will ultimately hear it. He's only decided that the state couldn't overcome the justification. They couldn't overcome the defendant saying, I was justified.
Mm-hmm.
You know, it's one of those shifts of the burden of proof that we don't often see,
right,
where you have a preliminary matter, I should say, where you're hearing something and the judge has to rule, well, should this case even go to trial based on justification? So what they're saying is that the argument, and I'll sort of read from the police report here, the argument escalated, and the defendant, the coach, got in the face of the student. When she got in her face, the student slapped the coach in the face. The coach then grabbed the student by the neck, and I'm just reading the police reports. This is just what I'm reading. In a chokehold, took her to the ground where she continued the chokehold. The victim couldn't breathe. She was on the ground in the chokehold. She was able to get away, grabbed her phone, and told her that she was going to call the police. Then the coach grabbed the phone out of the kid's hand and walked away. So I think in my opinion here, just reading between the lines here, the chokehold is where the Supreme Court said, hey, you know what, you've probably gone a little bit too far here.
So again, I don't know these things, which is why you're here. Will she be arrested?
No. She may have been arrested, but if it was for minutes. You know what I mean?
Okay.
Taken into custody.
But she's not going to be taken into custody again now that it's going to go to trial.
No, it's a felony. And that's a bad thing. Let's just face it. But it's our third-degree felony. It's the lowest level of felony. Okay. Taking the phone away is a misdemeanor. So she'll face felony child abuse charges. And child abuse is one of those crimes in Utah that has felony levels and misdemeanor levels.
Right.
And it depends on the severity of the injuries, which in this case is based on the chokehold. It also depends on the mindset of the person using the child. If you accidentally hurt a child, it's far lesser than if you intentionally hurt a child, if that makes sense.
Right. Sure.
Most of our crimes require some level of criminal intent.
Right.
Child abuse has every level of criminal intent. So there's actually 6 levels of child abuse in Utah.
Wow.
3 for each, whether it's serious injury or not serious injury, whether it's intentional, reckless, or negligent.
Wow.
So, and this one is, the serious injury part. It got the coach to the third-degree felony. But they also took into account that the chokehold wasn't necessarily meant to cause serious injury. I mean, if she pulled out a knife or hit the kid with a hammer or something, that's much more.
But it's to her argument, she's saying I was trying to protect myself from being hit again and to keep her from hurting other people as well.
Right. And I think the justification was, sure, you can do that. You can hold her. You can restrain her. You can even take her to the ground.
Yeah.
But once you put the hand around her neck and because it's clear from what the police report, and I'm not saying this is the evidence, this is just the police report, that the victim, it says here, could not breathe. Now that takes you over the line between reasonable discipline, reasonable use of force against a person who's coming after you, and using deadly force. So once you cross that threshold, child abuse becomes felony here. Now a jury is going to hear this eventually, and maybe the coach will say, I had no intention of choking her. Maybe they don't even believe that there was a chokehold. But the child's alleging that, the state's alleging that, and the judge is going to let a jury hear that. Now the jury will hear the same evidence the judge did, and they may come to the same conclusion and say, no, she was justified. We're going to find her not guilty. In this case, the judge didn't have to decide guilt or innocence. He just decided there's not enough evidence to go to trial based on justification.
Yeah.
So it'll go to trial, and we'll hear from that. We're about to go to a press conference. Salt Lake City is having a press conference to talk about the fire. We'll join that right now.
Fire in the kitchen at the London Bell, which was open and operating at approximately 8:40 p.m. It was a first alarm commercial assignment, which requires 4 engines and 2 fire trucks. On arrival, crews ensured all patrons were evacuated, and upon investigation, we identified some smoke and fire in the ceiling space, actually between the ceiling and the roof in the kitchen area. At 9:21, we started a second alarm, a third alarm at 9:42, and ultimately there were approximately 78 firefighters on scene, which encompasses about 20 fire apparatus. Ultimately, we had damage to several surrounding businesses, primarily 5 had the most extreme damage. We remained on scene until approximately 7:30 this morning when a lost stop was called. We had 3 minor firefighter injuries, no injuries to civilians. We appreciate all the help we received from our mutual aid partners, including Unified Fire, West Valley, and South Salt Lake Fire Department. And we initiated backup apparatus for all our fire stations while we were addressing the incident here on Main Street. I want to say the firefighters did a tremendous job fighting this fire, particularly given the speed at which it spread, the fuel that was available to it, and the intensity. And of course, the heat combined with the smoke provided some very challenging environment for us to mitigate this incident. I also want to thank our police partners. They supplied a drone that was airbound and hovered above the fire scene for almost the entirety of the incident. It allows us to tell exactly where the heat spots are in the ceiling area, and allows our aerial apparatus to pinpoint those locations and put water on the fire. The EPA and the Health Department, Salt Lake County, continue to monitor the air quality. They did so throughout the evening and then continue with pre-existing monitoring. We anticipate it's approximately $5 million in loss through the 5 buildings and associated damages. And as you can hear, the Trax line is currently open. That's the update I have for you right now, and I'll give this some time to Mayor Mendenhall.
Thank you, Chief. The fire that happened last night is a tragic loss for Salt Lake City. These are iconic businesses in our downtown core, where so many of us, thousands of visitors come to have a good time, celebrate, connect, and support local business owners. These are older buildings, and we're feeling grateful that there's minimal damage to the neighboring north and south operators. Los Tapatillos, London Bell, White Horse, and Whiskey Street are at the heart of what Salt Lake City's downtown vibe is. And I think there's a lot of tears being shared among Salt Lakers that see the devastating damage here tonight. I want to thank our Salt Lake City Fire Department, who did a fantastic job last night. And I also want to thank South Salt Lake, Unified Fire, and West Valley City Fire, who came in and helped us in these operations on the ground, and other agencies who covered our city while our firefighters were working on this scene. Thank you to our other agencies for that help. Thank you to the 911 dispatch and the police department for the coverage and the assistance they gave as well. And now I want to say that our economic development team of Salt Lake City is out here. They're in the audience right now. They're making contact with these business owners and the building owners, because Salt Lake City has an emergency loan fund that we are able to stand up, and we will be doing so and working with them with no interest loans to help them cover some of the costs once they get their insurance assessments done. And I also want to throw out that there's dozens and dozens of employees who are not going to be able to go to work tonight, who rely on this income to support their households and their families. And Salt Lakers and Utahns have stepped up for restaurant workers in the past. During COVID, Salt Lake City worked to create the Tip Your Server program. And I think that this is something Salt Lake City is going to be looking into today, because these insurance replacement costs that the owners may be able to get often don't trickle down to their employees and their lost wages the way that we know that they need. So we're going to be working as a city to support this community. This is a community of building owners, business owners, and employees and operators that we love, and we need to wrap our arms as a community around them right now. Happy to take a few questions, and I know we have got Downtown Alliance here on the scene.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
We're listening to Salt Lake City Mayor Mendenhall talk about the fire last night, and she's now taking some questions.
Sounds like your question.
Well, we have several buildings of this generation and this type of construction throughout Salt Lake City. So codes, of course, they exist for a reason, to reduce the fire loss and obviously to save lives. But most of those codes apply to new construction or significantly remodeled construction.
Yeah, we want to see these restaurants return. And the feeling that I'm getting from the folks who are associated with these restaurants and the building owners is that they want to come back as soon as possible. We want to make that happen. And the city will work with them to try to expedite their permitting process and their inspections to make sure they can do it as fast as possible. Yes. Yes. You asked about homes? Yes. Great question. So just last October, Salt Lake City started a tenant resource program. It is located with our partners at the Community CDC, Community Development Corporation. They're on 17th South and about 5th East. We have funding. We help navigate to find affordable housing, and those housing navigators are there 5 days a week. And any employees or folks whose incomes are impacted by this, we would love to connect them. We will be reaching out to the business owners to let them know about this tenant resource center that we operate. So it's both funding and housing navigation to try to find locations. Yes.
We're hearing from Mayor Mendenhall and her Chief of Police, Carl Lieb, taking questions about the Main Street fire last night. Fire Chief.
Well, the buildings were occupied as they normally would be on any evening. I think we were fortunate that it was a weekday, and so maybe not as populated as it ordinarily would be. It was clear upon initial investigation and arrival of the first crew that there was an issue in the ceiling void, so space between the actual ceiling and the roof line. And that's probably what led to the increased spread of the fire through the associated buildings. So we're essentially trying to access this fire right from the get-go. It's very challenging for the firefighters. We ended up using a lot of aerial apparatus and a defensive operation. It was unsafe to keep firefighters inside the building or on the roof where we normally start our fire attack. And ultimately, we made a stand and we made the stops where we did, and we were quite fortunate that we were able to stop the fire where we did. Very small space that we're talking about, super heated, really poor visibility, and of course we have firefighters that are working with personal protective equipment that weighs approximately 50 pounds in an environment where they can only go 100 per 20 minutes. So there's constant changeover of the firefighters on scene. So it was a pretty intense incident last evening. Firefighters who were injured, they're all okay. We had one firefighter who sustained a broken ankle, one firefighter who has smoke inhalation, dehydration, nausea, who felt sick on scene. We also had a third firefighter who sustained some minor injuries from debris that fell from the roof, from the water weight, and was trapped for a brief period of time against a chain link fence. I'm sorry. Those are a total of 3 injuries: a broken ankle, we have dehydration, fire inhalation, and then we had the person that was briefly trapped by debris from the roof. So just abrasions, things like that.
Last question.
The last time those businesses were inspected to see how they fit into fire code compliance?
I don't know exactly right now when the last time they were inspected, but we have those records. The buildings are did have safety precautions within the kitchen area per code, so just over the grill area, but generally the entire building is not sprinklered. We don't know. The fire is currently under investigation to identify the exact location of the ignition location.
How long would it take for the investigation to wrap up?
Investigations such as this could take days to probably a couple weeks.
Do you know if there's any other businesses?
There are many businesses affected either by smoke or the heat from last evening, but to extent, it's not nearly the same as what we're talking about, the 4 or 5 initial.
Are you guys
Right now, we ask people if they don't need to be on Main Street right here at 300 South, then please don't transit down to this area, but soon it'll be open for regular routine business.
Thanks, everybody. Great questions. Appreciate it.
That was a live press conference on Main Street in Salt Lake City, where last night around 8 o'clock a fire broke out at one of the businesses there. This is the east side of the 3rd South block between 3rd and 4th South on Main Street. It affected 4 businesses. London Bell, which seems to be the place where the fire started, at least that's the preliminary report that we just heard from Salt Lake City Fire Department Chief Carl Lieb. White Horse, beautiful restaurant, Los Tapatillos, Whiskey Street, these are all some very popular businesses there on Main Street in Salt Lake City, and it's just heartbreaking to see the damage that was caused there, because at least 1 or 2 of those looks like almost a total loss.
Yeah. We were able to take that press conference live, but we are going to pivot to KSL in the classroom coverage, and we're going to talk about school crossing zones. They're meant to be safe spaces, but sometimes they are downright scary.
Before we do that, I do want to just play
right.
a little bit of a soundbite from what we're hearing from the Salt Lake City Police Department, or excuse me, I keep calling them Police Department, Fire Department. The chief did speak about some of the damages, just for those of you that may not have heard the press conference.
We anticipate it's approximately $5 million in loss through the 5 buildings and associated damages.
And Salt Lake City Mayor Mendenhall also spoke about the loss for the city itself.
The fire that happened last night is a tragic loss for Salt Lake City. These are iconic businesses in our downtown core, where so many of us, thousands of visitors come to have a good time, celebrate, connect, and support local business owners. These are older buildings, and we're feeling grateful that there's minimal damage to the neighboring north and south operators. Los Tapatillos, London Bell, White Horse, and Whiskey Street are at the heart of what Salt Lake City's downtown vibe is. And I think there's a lot of tears being shared among Salt Lakers that see the devastating damage here tonight.
You know, one of the things that struck me from Mayor Mendenhall is that she was clearly emotional also about what this means, what this loss means.
It was a huge loss for the city and for the neighboring areas.
And the people who work there.
Sure, absolutely. Imagine that if you worked right there and that was where you're going to work tonight. KSL News Radio's Adam Small spoke with Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson this morning about this as well.
This is a section of downtown that is active in the evenings. The business owners have put so much love and attention into these amazing restaurants and bars. And yeah, I just drove by actually on my way to work to see, the devastation myself. And there's a lot of ashes out on the street.
Mayor Wilson, she also expressed the fact that she's worried about the owners of that area recovering.
I think the city and the county will, be fine economically, but I'm concerned about the owners and, how they recover. And I hope we can figure that out quickly and be as supportive as possible.
Yeah, she also, and I think Mayor Mendenhall mentioned this as well, but Mayor Wilson hopes that the rebuild will remain local.
I think it's probably a matter of getting the community involved. I'm hoping the insurance policies provide just a real quick answer to these business owners, and hopefully they can come back with renovated restaurants. The fire was quite devastating. The structures, and I think it was pointed out in a couple of news articles I read, show the wood is burnt down. It's going to have to be a pretty extensive rebuild on that block. But my hope is that Salt Lake City would prioritize the return. Let's not put just a mega building to cover the acreage that was burned. Let's restore in a way where we can honor those small businesses and support them and get back at it.
Yeah, Mayor Mendenhall actually specifically said, I don't want the businesses rebuilt in general. I want these specific businesses to rebuild, in hopes that that's the case.
Right, and I actually know that area very well. My office was right there for 12 years. Those businesses were sort of being developed at the time, getting going. I watched them build out. I mean, the inside of those, it's too beautiful to imagine getting burned. One of them had a bar and a big facility set up for their patrons. The restaurant part was just whoever did the woodwork on that would spend a lot of time, but it was just something else to see, and sad to see it go.
Yeah, we also learned that there were 3 firefighters who were injured.
Firefighters were injured. They're all okay. We had one firefighter who sustained a broken ankle, one firefighter who has smoke inhalation, dehydration, nausea, who felt sick on scene. We also had a 3rd firefighter who sustained some minor injuries from debris that fell from the roof, from the water weight, and was trapped for a brief period of time against a chain link fence.
Yeah, so now we actually get to go to KSL in the classroom. I'm so excited to talk about back to school. We're going to talk about school crossing zones. They're meant to be safe spaces, but they can be really, really scary. When we return, we'll talk about that and some hefty penalties for drivers who are not following the law.
Some things never change. Sure, we've expanded Inside Sources to 3 hours on KSL, and it's on 9 to noon. But the news, traffic reports, and weather updates that have been a part of your ride in the car since before you can remember, always there. And that will never change. Find us in your car at 102.7 FM.
Hello, Utah. I'm Josh with IWC Roofing. For over 25 years, my family has been safeguarding your homes with the finest roofing solutions. We value your time, and we're committed to replacing most roofs in just 1 day with a peace of mind 50-year shingle warranty. Call us today at 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. Ask us for the $1,500 off any full roof replacement. Financing available, 801-232-5690. Utah homeowners, look no further than IWC Roofing for a roof that stands the test of time. With 25 years of excellence, IWC is your trusted family-owned roofing expert. At IWC, we offer one-day roof replacements with top-tier quality materials, all with a 50-year shingle warranty. To keep a leaky roof from dampening your day, we're offering $1,500 off a full roof replacement. Get a free estimate. Call 801-232-5690 or visit iwcroofingutah.com. 801-232-5690.
There's a photo my wife took of me sitting crisscross on the floor playing Legos with my boys. Might not sound like much, but back in 2020, I couldn't get down there without pain, let alone enjoy it. After 16 weeks on soda and 82 pounds gone, that picture means everything. It's proof that I'm not just present in my kid's life, but I'm active, engaged, and I'm healthy. Soda didn't just give me a plan. It gave me a partner, a personal nutritionist who helped me every step. Through grocery store trips, family vacations, late night cravings, you name it. If you're a parent who wants to be there, not just someday, but right now, go to sodaweightloss.com. Click the Request a Nutritionist callback. That's sodaweightloss.com. SOTA stands for state of the art. sodaweightloss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
When you crash your car, you get it fixed. When your computer crashes, you get a new one. But what will you do if you've been saving in a 401k or an IRA and the market crashes? If you're in your 30s or 40s, you'll be just fine. But if you're in or near retirement, you could be in trouble. Mike Stevens and his team at Capital Wealth Advisors are here to help. They can run a risk analysis to see if you're too heavily invested in the market. Don't let the ups and downs of Wall Street control you or your retirement dreams. Call 801-210-5500 today to schedule your risk analysis with Mike Stevens and the team at Capital Wealth Advisors. That's 801-210-5500. Crashes happen. Question is, are you ready? Capital Wealth Advisors, 801-210-5500. Investing involves risk, including the potential loss of principal. Advisory services offered through Capital Wealth Advisors, LLC, a state of Utah registered investment advisor.
Americans may not agree on much, but we agree on Social Security.
We all pay in. It ought to be there when we need it. Social Security could face a funding gap in less than a decade, and I don't want to see a pay cut. I'm with AARP in the fight to protect the Social Security we earned.
Pledge to protect Social Security at aarp.org/weearnedit. That's aarp.org/weearnedit. Paid for by AARP.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Any Hour Services can make sure your AC keeps you cool this summer, whether you need a tune-up, repair, or just a second opinion about replacing it. Call Any Hour Services or visit anyhourservices.com.
Inside Sources.
So we're going to talk about school crossing zones as we continue our KSL in the classroom coverage. We have a lot of school students going back this week and the rest of them next week in the K through 12. And, you know, Greg, one of the things that just terrifies me every year are the news stories of crossing guards and or students who are hit on their way to school or home.
Yeah, you know, I'm reminded that back in the day when I was in 6th grade, I was a crossing guard. They used to have the kids do it. We used to all go out to the street there, and we had these huge long poles with flags at the end of them, and we would hold the traffic, presumably. And I remember, even at the time, when I was 12 years old, that cars would sometimes just disregard you. And you felt like as a kid, you're trying to protect the little kids, fourth and fifth graders from themselves. But now, as we see it, you'll see these adults who are there almost exclusively when the traffic guards that are crossing guards that I see, and they're wearing bright uniforms and they've got flags and often they've got lights. And every school zone now has a sign at the start and the beginning that says you're entering a school zone.
Yeah, 20 miles an hour.
And 20 miles an hour, and that's there for a reason. 20 miles an hour is still pretty fast.
Right.
But you've just got to slow down, and cars just blow through it all the time. You see it every day.
Yeah, it's so scary. And you know, one of the things as school starts, right, is our plea is to please slow down, please be careful. If you're going to a school that's a new school, for example, and I know tomorrow Andy Farnsworth is going to do the morning show from a new school in Eagle Mountain, that's going to be a new traffic pattern, right?
Exactly.
And I will tell you, I had an example last year. There's a school that's kind of close to our neighborhood, and they had one crosswalk, but they had added a second one, and I did not realize that they had a second one. I blew through it. The crossing guard was very angry with me, right? And of course, I mean, I was going 20 miles an hour because there were students around, but still, I did not slow down because I didn't know that that's where kids were going to cross, and I didn't see her, and I didn't make that mistake again, but that's dangerous.
And we're having this conversation because school starts this week.
That's right.
Some started yesterday, some today.
A bunch
huge
tomorrow.
amount are starting tomorrow. And so just be on absolute extra caution because of what you just mentioned. You may have a different school crossing zone than you're used to.
Right.
The traffic pattern may have changed.
Right.
So just be aware tomorrow that something's going on.
Yeah.
Now, Utah law actually provides greater penalties for, I mean, speeding is one thing. Speeding in a school zone is quite another.
Right.
The penalties are enhanced by more than you'd imagine.
Yeah, by quite a bit. And look, we have to talk about school buses too. So school buses, what's the rule if you see the stop sign on a school bus?
Stop, no matter where you are. Right.
Right. There are something like 100,000 violations of the school bus law every year in Utah. Right. And that's frightening too, because when the school buses put out their stop sign, they a lot of times will have kids cross in front of the bus.
Yeah.
Right. And if you're like whipping around, you may hit that child that's trying to cross the street in front of the bus to get over to the other sidewalk or across the street.
Getting out of the bus. Jumping out to go see mom, and they're very excited and running right in the road.
Yeah.
So school buses generally have yellow lights and red lights.
Yeah, it's like to warn you if the yellow lights are flashing, I'm going to
means-
turn on my stop
Right. You
sign.
better be very careful.
Yeah.
But once the red lights are on, I don't care where you are. Just stop. Just stop
Yeah,
and wait.
that's exactly right. And I know those penalties, they are hefty. And the Utah legislature passed that, I think, in 2024. But they wanted to make they really wanted to send a message to these drivers. So your first offense, if you pass a school bus with the red stop sign out, it's $1,000 fine.
Minimum $1,000.
Minimum $1,000 fine and 10 hours of community service.
Right. Subsequent offenses go up each time. First offense, $1,000 with 10 hours of community service. Second offense, within 5 years, it doubles that. It makes it worse. And then a third offense gets even exponentially more.
$3,000 minimum and 40 hours of community service. I mean, they're serious. And why? Because people die.
Right.
That's why.
Right.
Crossing guards get hit, kids get hit. Not good.
There's so much going on right now with schools, and we want our kids to be safe. We want the school guards to feel like they're protected. We can't. I don't know what else you could do. Some of these school zones, you have the lights flashing, you have guards there. I know sometimes in the winters, the school guards sometimes sort of hold up in their cars until the kids come, but you've still got to be aware that it's coming and that you're entering into a school zone.
I drop my daughter off at school. I won't be able to do it this year because I'll be here, but I have dropped her off every morning. She rides the bus home, but it's really been a struggle to get her out of bed on time to catch the bus to go to school. And I have seen our crossing guard there, just rain, snow, heat, it doesn't matter. But and our particular one looks like she's probably a retiree from a different profession, a while ago. And she'll dress up for the kids. So she'll wear fancy hats and she'll wear, she'll carry an umbrella for the kids that need to cross the road and things. But she's always there, no matter what the weather, to make sure that kids are safe.
And I would say this, we're talking about school zones and crossing zones, but some of these kids walk half a mile or a mile.
Yeah, that's right.
They're on the street. They're talking to their friends. They're running around. They're trying to stay on the sidewalk. Sometimes they don't. I mean, if you see kids walking on the street, give them as much space as you possibly can.
I'm a parent who we had kids in a charter school, and they didn't provide a bus anyway, but it was less than a mile away from our house. They walked to and from school. And I'm sure when they're grown up, they'll tell their kids they walked 5 miles uphill in the snow every way. But they did. And I worried about that, right? And when I started to I had older kids at the school. It went up through 9th grade. When I had those older kids taking my, younger elementary kid to school, walking with them, I'd be like, don't you dare leave them. Like, you cannot leave these kids behind. You have to stay with them if they're 5, 6, 7 years old, and then they have to walk to school, because school buses are only available for a certain range outside of that school. And so if you are within that range, and I think it's a mile for elementary schools, and I think it's a little bit more for junior high and high school, but they may ride scooters, they may ride a bike, they may be walking, right? They may be there with their parent, but they may not be, probably the first day, but not after that.
And, $1,000 fine for a traffic offense is almost unheard of, let alone $3,000 for a third. I mean, you can speed 20, 30, 50 miles over the speed limit. You're not going to get a $1,000 fine, but it's a minimum mandatory 10 hours of community service. Yeah. Not to mention, and I think a lot of people don't think about this, it's reported to your insurance. It's on your driving record. And it's not just speeding, it's speeding in a school zone. Think of the liability issues there that you're going to get dinged with your insurance as well. So I don't know how else we can make it any more serious to tell people slow down.
Well, one of the things too, and I expect that we'll see a lot of this tomorrow, is a police presence. Yeah. As people go back to school, right? That you've got police officers there with the police cars to pull speeders over on that first day. People who violate that.
Don't you wish sometimes you were a police officer? I mean, I see these cars passing these buses.
That's where my road rage maybe comes out. Stop right now.
Slow down for the kids. Yeah. And again, especially some of these areas like Alpine District, well, and I don't mean to limit to anything, where there are new schools coming up, new schools being built, and new traffic patterns that you talked about a minute ago. You may be driving to an area tomorrow where you've drove yesterday without any problem at all, and suddenly there's a crossing there that you're not used to.
And all those things. One of the things that's interesting is I've read previous news stories about these school bus drivers, and what do you think the number one response is when people blow past them and they honk their horn at them? It's to get mad at the bus driver.
The driver.
Right? They're honking their horn to say, hey, hello, I have the stop sign out. There's a child in the crosswalk, and people will flip them off. They'll yell at them through the window, right? And it's just like, holy cow.
stop doing that.
I have to imagine being a school bus driver has its own punishment. I mean, you know what I mean? That's got to be a tough job because the kids are running around. It's not like
they have to be safe too, right? They have to make sure that their kids are safe. And there have been a couple of instances where kids have been left. They fell asleep on the bus and didn't realize they didn't get off. I mean, there's some stories like that. But all in all, I think school bus drivers really do. This is a heavy job and a serious job, right? And then you have drivers who get mad at you. You have people who don't stop. Look, I have a question. I don't even know the answer to this, so I err on the side of safety. But if you're on a 4-lane road and you have a school bus that stops on the far right, do you have to stop across all 4 lanes?
Absolutely.
See? There
no
you
matter
go.
what, I would say err on the side of caution. But I'm telling you,
Yeah.
that's the law anyway.
Yeah.
You can't, because the crosswalk
That's good to know.
could very well
Yeah.
go through the entire road.
There's a place in downtown Salt Lake. I can't remember exactly where, but I know that I have crossed it before during school hours where they block off the entire road. And it feels like maybe it's State Street. I don't know. But there's like a school close by where they're just like, look, we have kids coming and going to school right now.
Don't even try it. Yep. Well, the world's largest data center is coming to, guess where?
I'd have no idea.
Millard County.
That's
right
crazy.
here in Utah. We'll talk with Millard County Commissioner Bill Wright about the impact of this development when we come back.
It's 10:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Verl Johansson. KSL's top local story this hour: 5 businesses were severely damaged and 3 firefighters were injured in a large fire in downtown Salt Lake City overnight. The fire broke out in the historic building housing London Bell, Whiskey Street, White Horse, and Los Tapatillos. Salt Lake County Mayor Jenny Wilson says she's worried about the owners who lost their businesses in the fire, and she hopes the historic nature of the buildings won't disappear.
My hope is that Salt Lake City would prioritize the return. Let's not put just a mega building to cover the acreage that was burned. Let's restore in a way where we can honor those small businesses and support them and get back at it.
Wilson says she hopes insurance will help the owners in the short term while the community rallies around them for the long term. Nearby businesses were lucky to have avoided the flames. Peter Marshall owns Utah Book and Magazine, and when asked to describe the fire,
I really couldn't tell you. It was nothing but, I couldn't see nothing. I mean, that's how heavy the smoke was.
Marshall says he's grateful his business was okay, but is sad for his friends and fellow business owners. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. We're getting more details about the suspected shooter who opened fire at the Centers of Disease Control building in Atlanta. Investigators say the suspect may have been suffering from mental health issues and may have left a suicide note. Police officer David Rose died in the shooting, and his mother spoke with TV station WSB.
He lived fearless, knowing that someone is going to have to be there to protect people.
Rose was also a military veteran. Your money at this moment: the Dow is up 481 points, the S&P up 59, the NASDAQ up 237. Coming up, another day in the triple digits. KSL weather's next. KSL News Time, 10:31.
Mornings are for recharging.
And they're for starting your day right.
We volunteer to join you in the car. Get news and weather at 102.7 FM during the most important part of your day.
Andy and Amanda, each morning between 5 and 9 on KSL News Radio.
The KSL News Radio movie show comes to My Hearing Centers Friday from 10 to 1. But first, discover what My Hearing Centers can do for you. My Hearing Centers uses advanced technology to diagnose and treat hearing loss. These comprehensive evaluations determine the best treatment options. Then enjoy lifetime support with regular check-ins, cleaning, and maintenance. Call My Hearing Centers at 801-701-1629. 801-701-1629 for more details. My Hearing Centers has offices from Ogden to St. George.
If you've got a gas-powered engine, keep it running like new at every fill-up. Stable in-season protection is your engine's preventative medicine, cleaning and protecting the entire fuel system in season. In outdoor power equipment, prevent gum and varnish buildup that could cause a rough or non-running engine. For cars and trucks, increase fuel efficiency and power by removing deposits, ensuring your engine's long-term health. Stable outperforms the competition in independent lab testing. So at every fill-up, start with Stable.
If you love to travel, Capital One has a rewards credit card that's perfect for you. With the Capital One Venture X card, you earn unlimited double miles on everything you buy. Plus, you get premium benefits at a collection of luxury hotels when you book on Capital One Travel. And with Venture X, you get access to over 1,000 airport lounges worldwide. Open up a world of travel possibilities with the Capital One Venture X card. What's in your wallet?
Terms apply. Lounge access is subject to change. See CapitalOne.com for details.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value, completely free. StubbsDental.com.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's MyStyle checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
We are finally back to freeway speeds northbound I-15 after a really slow slog. All these delays didn't clear out until about 20 minutes ago, getting out of Lehigh into the Salt Lake Valley. But now you're at speed into downtown Salt Lake. If you continue northbound I-15, though, you are going to see a bit of slowing as you approach the US 89 split in Farmington. That is due to lane restrictions. The right lane is blocked. And if you're southbound I-15 between Kaysville and Park Lane and Farmington, you also have the lane restrictions and a bit of delay, but everybody else is moving at speed. No matter the weather, your feet can feel fantastic. Find the Good Feet location nearest you at goodfeet.com. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
Well, the heat is ramping back up with a high of 96 today and to 100 tomorrow. Then we start to see some scattered thunderstorms move into the state on Thursday and Friday. Right now, it's partly cloudy and 82 degrees in Salt Lake City. I'm Verl Johansson from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at KSLNewsRadio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
Okay, I'm going to ask you a quiz again. The world's largest data center is coming to Millard County, Utah. Believe that?
It's so interesting. It's such an interesting story. So, Millard County is not. I'll just be honest. It's not known for its high-tech industry,
but it's known to have some space and some smart people and a good working population. It's right on I-15 if you're going southbound.
Yeah.
And the county seat there is Fillmore, but the largest city is just north of Fillmore, just northwest, Delta, pretty good sized city. So there's a lot of there is some good infrastructure already in place there, and it's a county that probably is just set up perfectly for something like this.
Yeah, and what's so interesting is we have the opportunity to talk to a county commissioner. It's Commissioner Wright, who joins us on the phone today. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to be here.
And, you know, we have to tell our listeners, we kind of go way back.
We do. I don't know how many years, but it has been a while.
I bet we're pushing 20 years now, Commissioner. We served in the legislature together, and that's been 14 years already. And anyway, it's really great to talk to you again. Thank you so much for joining us.
Thank you. It's good to hear from you too, Holly.
Can you tell us first of all what really drove this issue of talking about building and having this huge data center in Millard County?
Well, I think it's been coming for a long time, and the recent changes, not only in our political environment and recent changes in data centers and AI, there's been a lot of things that's brought it there. It ends up not because we're really smarter ahead of everybody. It ends up being Millard County has a lot of geography and assets that has made it very popular and the place to come. First of all, because of the people, the work environment, and everybody else. But previous to that, there's lots of transmission lines that go through there. Developments have to have power. They have to get information out. It's in the middle of the state. It has lots of space. And previous to now, we're a little aware, most people, the salt caverns, the ability to be an energy producing mecca and center has just kind of fell on us for other reasons, probably geography and other thing else. And our responsibility is not to really get everybody here because everybody's already at the door. Our responsibility is to try to manage what's going to happen for the future.
Bill, we're talking about a project that's about 1,100 acres. Can you tell us where the commission has decided that could be?
Yeah, we've already had zone changes and did conditional use permits, which allows them to come in and start functioning. And in those conditional use permits, we put specifications that this is what we would like. Their plan is, I think, somewhere around 30 or 40, 50 data centers. That would be a long time. I think their first initial construction would be 5 or 6, somewhere around that number, and then they would continue to grow. Of course, we know that we're a ways away from this happening, and like other projects, there's lots of venture capital, there's lots of funding that has to be acquired, and they talk about a completed project, but, we might have a change of environment in several years in the country and that. And so obviously we would anticipate they would move through those plans, and hopefully they do. But there's changes that could come along the way. But we've already rezoned the property, and they do have their permits and authority to start building those data centers.
So, Commissioner, what I hear you saying is that you as a commission have looked down the road, not just to, what might happen in the next 5 or 10 years for Millard County, but it looks to me like you're trying to make generational plans here.
Well, yes, I think it's important. Just a question that is answered. There's citizens that like that project, and there's citizens that don't. Most of the reason why not, it is, if you look forward, it's a big change in our rural environment. That rural environment is precious, and it's very difficult to want to give up. However, people would ask me, why don't you stop this, or why don't you change? And I can't change that. It's just going to come. Whether I'm there or not, basically it's going to come. But as I see economic development, governments are really prone to grow and develop little kingdoms, and I'm trying to develop a philosophy in our county that new money and growth that we have, that we give back a large portion of that back to taxpayers. What advantage is it? There is some, but for everybody, if we don't reduce property taxes, if we don't give some of that back to taxpayers. Governments tend to use all the new money and actually spend and build a house that they can't keep the lights on. This is what we're trying to protect against. So we get good philosophies, that basically we get good traditions, and we're going to move forward, and this is going to happen. And we're not opposed to it happening. We're willing to help accommodate those companies that want to do that. We respect property rights, and we respect people's initiative to come in and develop in the county.
We're speaking this morning with Millard County Commissioner Bill Wright. The commission voted in favor of rezoning 1,100 acres. I think it's near Delta, isn't it, Commissioner? And let me ask you this. A project like that's going to take two things that are really hard to come by in some parts of our state. One is water and one is power. What have you got planned for those issues?
Well, real quickly, data centers want to produce data. They don't want to be power producers. I think everybody knows that the state is 20 to 30% short of the energy to accommodate these. We've actually approved 2 already. There's another one in the plan, and those people will produce their own power because they can't buy power. Now, they would love to be able to purchase power. They don't want to be power producers. So this takes care of their power. Their water, we find out back east and other places, they take a lot of cooling. They have a lot of water. They can do it. They've developed different techniques and strategies. A data center will only use about the same amount of water not much more than a house, or particularly compared to agriculture. A data center will use about the same amount of water as a half acre of ground. The way these are designed, they aren't designing them with any water cooling. It'll all be, like air conditioning and other things. So they use very little. They use very little water. The water they use is just particularly culinary water.
Interesting. Commissioner, I'm thinking about in rural communities, I know in Utah especially, that there's a lot of kids there that have to move out to find jobs. It sounds to me like if this, it sounds like it's going to happen, that you'll be able to keep some of families there close by. Is that one of the things that you've looked at?
Yes. Of course, people that have families here, one of the complaints is everybody has to leave. They would like their families there. We would like enough growth that we can provide jobs. I've been to a conference or two on, we will also in the future have nuclear energy, I suspect. One of the problems with data centers, nuclear energy production, linemen is workforce. Really, we don't have a sufficient workforce, really not only down here but everywhere. My goal is to develop, we are developing a committee for workforce development. We're working with some of the colleges and universities. My goal that all the new growth comes that we have at least 80% of new people employed will be from that county. And we are starting and putting funds into developing workforce development for these specific things that these industries, it varies a little, that these industries need so that we'll have that workforce. I don't think a lot of this is a real advantage for counties if we don't do two things. If we don't lower property taxes, if we don't prepare our citizens in this county who want to and who willingly, with scholarships or programs or whatever, to be able to take these jobs. I don't want all these people moving in from Alabama, Texas, or whatever. I have a responsibility and obligation to prepare our county and those citizens that want to take advantage of these programs so that they can fill this employment. Now, one of the things on your last question, I'd like to go back and say one of the things that's important is the IPP and the state is developed a committee to decide how they're going to move forward with that. That's very important to our county because if we don't, why, they're going to have to be power producers. We got several companies waiting in line wanting to know if the IPP power will now, with hydrogen, will all go to California, which if they continue the coal plant, actually provides some power for local. And we have a lot of companies wanting and waiting for that. So I would just encourage the state that they make these decisions, that they get this done and we move on because these people are generally all ready to go. We have lots of inquiries. Many of them are closer than others, but that's an important thing.
Well said.
Thank you so much for joining us. We've been speaking with Commissioner Bill Wright. Stay with us through the break.
Hi, this is Derek Overstreet, president of the New Millennium Group and co-host of Stop Working, Start Living with KSL News Radio. Can you imagine what your life would be like if you could retire 3 to 5 years earlier than you thought possible? The things you could do, the loved ones you could spend time with, the memories that you could create. That's what our team at the New Millennium Group does. We'll walk you through the entire process every step of the way. If you'd like to get a copy of the 5-step proprietary plan that will help you retire 3 to 5 years sooner than you thought possible, give us a shout right now. 888-999-6370. That's 888-999-6370 or utahsfinancialplanner.com. Listen, most of our listeners right now have a tax problem, not a money problem. There's not enough money in Social Security Medicare as it is. Let us show you how you can significantly reduce your taxes. That's 888-999-6370, 888-999-6370, or utahsfinancialplanner.com.
KSL offers the best daily newsletter in the state. It's the 3 things you need to know. Every weekday, we deliver quality and relevant content to your inbox. No ads, no spam, just the 3 things you need to know to be informed about the world around you. Subscribe today. Visit KSLNewsRadio.com. or text the word INBOX to 57500. That's INBOX to 57500.
This is the story of the one. As a safety manager at a manufacturing plant, he does everything he can to keep his coworkers safe. From finding ways to reduce risks to keeping safety supplies in stock. And for that, he relies on Grainger. Grainger offers a broad range of quality products and next-day delivery, so he can always play it safe. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
Back to school means back to routine, but don't forget about the mess underfoot. Start this school year fresh with Zero-Res carpet and air duct cleaning. Did you know your carpets can trap up to 40 pounds of dust, dirt, and debris each year? Zero-Res uses patented technology to clean with no sticky soaps or harsh chemicals. Just patented ZR water for a deep clean that's safe for kids, pets, and your peace of mind. Your carpets dry fast, stay cleaner longer, and come with a 30-day gotta love it guarantee. Right now, get 3 rooms plus a free hallway for $119 and 15% off air duct cleaning. Schedule today at Zerores.com. That's Zerores.com. Spelled the same forward or backward. Zerores is the right way to clean. Zerores.com.
At Intermountain Health, we believe life is a circle. May yours surround you with insight, a healthy perspective, trust, and reassurance. The belief that our differences aren't that different, and compassion just when you need it most. Life is a circle. May yours help you live the healthiest life possible. Intermountain Health.
Getting help with plumbing repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
An expanded Inside Sources.
So, Greg, thank you for indulging me because I love this story. There was a recent panel of women that I fangirl over, and they spoke at the FAIR conference on Friday about the lived experience of Latter-day Saint women. And one of the things that stood out to me is really the women that they had in this panel. So BYU professor Barbara Morgan Gardner was the moderator. I listened to a podcast, well, more than one podcast actually, that she does on a regular basis. Sarah Jane Weaver, the Deseret News editor, who will be joining us in studio in just a minute. She was there. BYU Marriott School, the dean of the Marriott School, Bridget Madrian, she was there. A BYU professor, Jenna Erickson, who actually lives in my neighborhood, and BYU law professor Shima Bauman. And she is just so interesting. The whole panel was so interesting to talk about the way women can really embrace their full self as members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints.
What is FAIR? FAIR.
That is a really good question.
Sorry, I put you on the spot.
No. I do have to look it up though. It stands for maybe Sarah knows right here. Let's see. What does FAIR stand for, Sarah?
Stands for Faithful Answers.
Inspired something. I don't know.
Okay.
Let me look it up. Let me look it up.
My bad question.
No, it's a good question, and I should have been ready.
But we are joined this morning by Sarah Weaver, editor of the Deseret News and former editor of the Church News, who was on the panel and attended with several other people. Sarah, thanks for joining us this morning.
Thank you so much for having me.
So tell me, so first of all, when I read the story, I was like, oh my gosh, I am so sad I didn't know about this ahead of time because I totally would have attended that panel specifically. But what stood out to you on the panel?
I actually think it's amazing when you have a group of women who are willing to take their faith into the public square. And that's not just for members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, but that's for anyone who says, this is something that has been important in my life, that has defined who I am, that has helped me make decisions, and now I want to take it to the public and share with others what it means to me. And so for me, that's what that was. It was an opportunity to say, this is important to me. And I hope that everyone, regardless of their faith tradition, or if they have no faith tradition, feels like they can take the things that mean the most to them, the things that are their inner convictions, into the public square and share them and be their whole self in public.
Mm-hmm. I have an answer for you, Greg. It's faithful answers, informed response. Fair.
So, Sarah, I have a question. I mean, this seems like something that should have been done previously. I mean, what brought everyone together, and why now to address this?
Well, historically, the FAIR conference has addressed questions that are important to members of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I think in recent years, what it means to be a woman in the church has been something that a lot of people are talking about. And so they put together a panel of women who feel like their faith has defined who they are. And so that's what that was, and that's why it mattered to me.
So Sarah, I wonder if you could share an experience that you had in Fiji in 2016.
So, and this was part of this conference, but I went to Fiji as a reporter for the Church News of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints, and as part of that trip, was there to cover the rededication of the Nuku'alofa of the Fiji temple, and the night before the temple was to be dedicated, a huge storm hit that nation. And so as part of that, many, many villages were destroyed by that storm. And I had the opportunity to go into a village just a few days later. Many of those roads were blocked by water, and it took us a few days to get in. But I was with some local leaders of the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. And I had done some interviews and had the opportunity to sort of look down on that village, and I got to see what everyone was doing in response to that disaster. And there was a local Fijian stake president who had gathered a lot of the villagers and said, "Gather your materials. Let's figure out how we're going to rebuild." And there's a missionary who was a welfare service humanitarian missionary for the church, and he was talking to the village chief, and he was saying, he needed to get stats so that church welfare could go in and help and serve those people who had been devastated. So he was asking, do you have clean water? Were your crops destroyed? How many people in this village died? How many homes need to be rebuilt? And what's the percentage of people who are members of this faith tradition as opposed to other faith groups? And let's figure out how we can help them all. And while that was going on, I observed the quiet ministry of the Relief Society leader who was with this little group that we were traveling with that day. And she was going door to door and ministering to people, and she had candy in her pocket for the children. And she was sharing her faith in a way that I thought was very, very special. It reminded me of reading the Bible and how the Savior ministered as far as teaching and taking care of the poor and needy and ministering to the one. And in that moment, it occurred to me that for me personally is what my ministry is like as a Latter-day Saint woman, that I get to do many of the things that the Savior did when he walked the earth. And so I shared that in that conference because that's what I think about when I think of being a woman in the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints. I think of being a disciple of Jesus Christ.
Sarah, it seems like churches in general and the Church of Jesus Christ of Latter-day Saints in particular have recognized or maybe emphasized the role of women in the church today more than ever. And I think that the people that they reach out to have recognized that. And it just seems like this is a very good time for women in the church and in churches in general to speak out and talk about their experiences, what they're learning and what they're doing.
Yeah, let me tell you that really hit home for me. As a reporter for the Church News, I was covering the ministry of President Russell M. Nelson, and he was in Uruguay and had agreed to do an interview with Sergio Rabin. He is Pope Francis's biographer. And because this famous journalist was going to be interviewing President Nelson, I asked if I could sit in on that interview and listen. And in that interview, nothing was off the table. And so President Nelson was answering all kinds of questions about everything you can imagine. And at one point in the interview, Mr. Rabin said to President Nelson, a lot of churches have a reputation of being run by men at the exclusion of women. And you know what President Nelson said? You know what? I think we should let a woman answer that question. And he called on Sherry Dew, who was there in the room listening, and asked her to answer that question. So when I think of what it means to be a woman in our church, I think when given the chance to talk about women in the church, our prophet called on a woman to speak for herself.
Well said. Thank you for joining us this morning. We'll be right back.
KSL FM Midvale.
KSL Salt Lake City.
From the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios, this is KSL News Radio.
Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
11 o'clock at KSL News Radio. I'm Claire Scott. KSL's top story this hour. People in downtown Salt Lake City say they're devastated by last night's fire, which severely damaged 5 local businesses. Layla Dustin just moved to the area a few months ago. She says it felt surreal when she heard the news.
This was like my introduction to downtown. This is downtown. And so these ones have been around longer than most of the others. It's just kind of devastating and a little bit hard to even sink in.
Dustin says she used to take people by this area when they came to visit her. She says now it's important that they fight for businesses like these where people can come together. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. The Texas House was called to order this morning with redistricting still on the agenda.
As a few members milled around on the Texas House floor, Speaker Dustin Burrows picked up the gavel.
There being 95 members present, a quorum is not present.
With more than 4 dozen Democrats still out of the state to prevent a vote on a Republican-drawn congressional district map that favors GOP candidates, no action could be taken. Burrows will try again Friday. Jim Ryan, ABC News, Dallas.
Your money at this moment, the Dow is up 444 points. The S&P is up 61 points. And coming up, mostly sunny skies. KSL Weather's next. KSL News time, 11:01.
A reminder about the simplest way to get updated for your day.
Hit your KSL preset when you jump in the car, and we'll take care of the rest.
Hear key news updates and traffic reports.
Andy and Amanda from 5 to 9 in your car.
KSL News Radio at 102.7 FM.
Ooh, ma. What was that? That is business phone bliss with the Ooma Cloud Phone System. It handles all our voice, video, and messaging needs.
You sound very...
Calm? I am. Ooma has everything I need to run my business more efficiently, like virtual receptionist, call routing, and video conferencing. And it starts at just $19.95 per month per user, plus taxes and fees.
Ooma.
Nice. Find your business comm at ooma.com/radio.
Americans may not agree on much, but we agree on Social Security. We all pay in. It ought to be there when we need it. Social Security could face a funding gap in less than a decade, and I don't want to see a pay cut. I'm with AARP in the fight to protect the Social Security we earned.
Pledge to protect Social Security at aarp.org/weearnedit. That's aarp.org/weearnedit. Paid for by AARP.
Whether you're building your $1 million dream home, giving your current home a facelift, or just trying to get it out of the minor leagues, Peach Windows and Doors brings the big league look.
Modern style, energy efficiency, clean lines, tough builds, and curb appeal that hits like a home run. Not sure what you need? No sweat. Peach has the coaching staff to get your home in the game. No pressure, no gimmicks, just solid game plans and pro-level results to help you knock it out of the park.
Come see for yourself big, beautiful windows that bring the outside in. Visit Peach Windows and Doors showroom, big enough to spark ideas, small enough to feel right at home. It's time to step up your game and make your house the MVP of the neighborhood. Why live in the minor leagues when you can swing like $1 million? Peach Windows and Doors, because real homes play like champions. Visit peachdoorsandwindows.com or call 801-566-1255 for your free consultation.
That's Peach Windows and Doors. Give them a call, 801-566-1255.
Worried about market losses? If headlines are keeping you up at night, it's time to take control. Hi, I'm Jeff Jr. with Trajan Wealth, and I know you've worked hard to save. But in times like these, what if can turn into what now? If you're planning to retire or are in retirement, you need a strategy that helps protect your future. At Trajan Wealth, you can capture market gains, protect your account from losses, and guarantee income for life. Right now, you could receive a bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10% for retirement income. You heard me right. An upfront bonus of up to 30% or annual growth of up to 10%, all guaranteed to boost your lifetime income in retirement. Don't leave your future to chance. Plan with confidence. Call Trajan today at 801-899-7600. That's 801-899-7600.
Annuity guarantees are based on the claims paying ability of the issuing insurance company, DBA, in most states as Trajan Wealth Insurance Solutions.
Traffic and weather together, brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Here's Heather Kelly.
Well, we are accident-free all across the Wasatch Front, but that doesn't mean you won't run into some slowing, and most of that is due to lane restrictions, especially right now southbound I-15 between Kaysville and the Park Lane exit in Farmington, where the right lane is blocked. You also have the lane restrictions coming out of Tooele County on SR 36, and we are seeing a bit of congestion right now, right around Saddleback Boulevard. That's near the Flying J. Other than that, almost everyone else is traveling at speed. Mortgage rates are going down. Take advantage. Visit loansbyrick.com at Vintage Lending. Loansbyrick.com, NMLS 241179, Equal Opportunity Lender. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
A high of 96 today with sunny skies. Tomorrow we could see a high of 100 before we're back in the upper 90s on Thursday. Right now it is 82 and fair. I'm Claire Scott from the KSL Common Spirit House Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We're Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
He faked his death, changed his name, and fled to Scotland to avoid facing rape charges here in Utah. Well, he's facing rape charges here in Utah, and a jury trial for Nicholas Rossi is now underway in 3rd District Court here in Salt Lake County.
You know, it's such an interesting story. Man, maybe you can set it up for us. Like, what happened, and like, why did he think that running away to Scotland was going to be a good idea?
Well, for 18 years, it wasn't such a terrible idea because he did get away for some period of time. Now, people ask about the statute of limitations, and let me just say this. The statute of limitations for a crime doesn't toll. The clock doesn't tick if you're out of state or out of the country. So you can run, but you can't hide. So even if it's something not rape, obviously is a very serious charge. But so being out of the country didn't help him at all, except that he wasn't prosecuted that time. So he had that opportunity. He was accused of a rape here in Utah. He's actually got 2 different charges, but he's I think only one's going right now. He fled. The crimes alleged to have occurred in November of 2008. The other one's about that same period of time. Both young women, and this particular case that he's on trial right now, Holly, involved a woman that he dated, and they were actually engaged. They'd shared wedding or engagement rings. And so those cases are often difficult for prosecutors. But once he got charged, I think he just decided it wasn't worth it. His legal name is actually Nikos Alverdian, but he led...
That's the one he changed it to?
No, that was his
Oh, that's
that was
the
his
legal name.
Yeah,
Rossi is the one he
right.
changed it to.
He changed it to Rossi, which is the name that he's going under now. But in 2021, he gets arrested in Scotland. This was after he was reported dead. So why he needed to do that, I don't know. He was recognized at a Glasgow hospital while receiving treatment for COVID-19. People are like, "Hey, I know that guy. You're supposed to be dead." And then he fought his extradition and said, "Well, you've got the wrong guy." And that's the only issue you can fight when you're being extradited is A, am I charged, and B, is it really me? He said, "No, I'm Nicholas Rossi. You're looking for somebody else." They said, "No, you're the same person." Brought him back. He'd even changed his name once to Arthur Knight, and he said, "You've got the wrong person. I've never been in America my whole life. I've been framed." They brought him back, and identification is obviously going to be an issue, but the victim will almost certainly not, withstanding the period of time, be able to point at him and say, "That's the man."
There are a lot of twists and turns in this one.
Oh, I know.
And I don't know if you know the answer to this question, but how did he fake his death?
Well, so you can come up missing and say, okay, this
missing, presumed dead, or
something like that. It's not clear what he did, but he just sort of fell off the face of the earth, so to speak, and so people said, well, he must be dead. He's not doing anything anymore. I don't know, I hate to give examples, but every once in a while you have somebody who's been missing for some period of time, and
right.
like you say, presumed dead.
Yeah, interesting. One of the things that I saw is that how he was recognized at the hospital right when he went to be treated for COVID. I was surprised, too, to see what his age was. He's only 38, and when I've seen pictures of him, he's like in a wheelchair, and he
hasn't
oxygen.
aged
and
particularly well.
I thought he was older.
But at the time, so if he's 38 now, then he would have been in his
20.
Yeah, in his
About
20s.
20.
The alleged victim at that time was 26. I mean, they were both very young. And what's interesting is that in this case, the judge has ordered neither side to mention that he fled. That's not part of the case because the defense successfully argued that would inflame the jury, that would be evidence of guilt. What is it? The guilty flea, but a lion.
Yeah,
it's in the Bible. Anyway, this was bold as the innocent are as bold as a lion. I don't remember. I'm butchering it already. But anyway, he left. He left, and the judges said neither of you can mention that he fled. I mean, they can say he's been gone for some time, but not that he ran away, if that makes any sense. So it's a fine line. I was listening to some of the remarks of the prosecutor in his opening statement saying he's been gone for a while. He left.
This is why the statute of limitations doesn't apply.
And so you're going to hear about a rape that occurred 17 years ago, and because he's been gone, I'm sure that the jurors must know something.
I know you're not supposed to be biased against it, but everybody knows about this case, don't they?
You would think so. Although, we have high-profile cases all the time. We had, the couple up in Idaho, Lori Vallow and Chad Daybell, and everyone thought, well, they're never going to get a fair trial. But they found jurors in Ada County in Boise that said, we don't know anything about this case. Nicholas Rossi certainly has much less publicity than
notoriety,
that one did.
for sure. Yeah.
And even that case we've got now in Park City, the Corey Richens case, she's argued that people in that area can't give her a fair trial.
Yeah.
But the alternative is, okay, go try it in Salt Lake, the bigger jurisdiction. So he's being tried here in Salt Lake, although the case allegedly occurred in Salt Lake County, so it wasn't moved for any reason anyway. But yeah, he was arrested in Scotland in 2021. So my question would be, if he's arrested in Scotland in 2021, what took him so long to get extradited? He must have really fought. And maybe since he's been here, there have been a lot of sort of gyrations and whatnot going on. I see that the case was actually filed in Utah on July 13th, 2022.
Mm-hmm.
So they had a suspect.
Yeah.
They assumed he was dead, so maybe they dropped it or dismissed it. But the current charges were just filed in 2022, which again was 14 years after the fact.
What's interesting? So I looked up this case in preparation for the show, and there's a BBC article, of course, because that's the British Broadcasting Corporation, and so they're talking about the Scotland angle, of course. And it says on there that staff recognized him from his mugshot and distinctive tattoos from an Interpol wanted notice in December of 2021. But he says he was the victim of mistaken identity, that he was an Irish-born orphan who had never been to America, but he couldn't produce a birth certificate or a passport. So he was finally extradited, but it was January of 2024, so it's a year and a half.
Yeah, and I mean, faking your own death in this day and age with the advent of the internet, and especially with CSI type things like DNA.
Right.
I mean,
oh yeah.
But in this case, you would assume that his victim can just point at him and say, that's the person who assaulted me. I mean, I don't know that that's going to be a problem for them. But I mean, to answer your very first question where we started, why would he do this? I mean, it's a terrible thing, and that people always get caught. But for at least 17 years.
Well, they don't always get
caught.
But
I mean, who knows where.
Often get caught.
Right. But you know, you think, well, he got away with it for some time, lived his life, and did what he thought was.
Yeah, he even married in England. He got married over there while he was there.
And he's actually facing two sexual assault charges. So this one and the other one could be, you know, who knows if he'll be convicted. He's presumed innocent, obviously, but he's going to be facing two charges. These cases are difficult, and I'm digressing a little bit, when you have a couple who were clearly intimate. Well, not clearly, but probably intimate consensually for some period of time. And then all of a sudden, one instance went over the line.
Yeah.
You know, how do you prove that? It's difficult for prosecutors. But in this case, they chose to go after him and prosecute him, and that's exactly what they're doing. After the break, Holly and I will be back with more on Inside Sources. Remember, streaming live at KSLNewsRadio.com on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros.
Can you believe it?
Touchdown! Stayed inside the boundary.
18 days until opening kickoff. This is your home for BYU football. Plus, breaking news and weather every morning. Listen for Andy and Amanda each morning when you get in the car. And Jeff Kaplan on the drive home on KSL News Radio.
I'm back to doing what I love and more. Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Are you struggling with pain in your feet, ankles, knees, hips, or lower back? At the Good Feet Store, we recommend having high-quality support in all of your shoes. Our personalized arch support system has helped countless people find relief, like Karen. Here is her Good Feet story.
After I decided my pain was too much, and my doctor actually suggested that I do visit the Good Feet Store. Pretty amazing when they put the arch supports in your shoe and you walk around and you realize there's not pain, and you think, how can this arch support in my shoe make my back pain go away? But it works. And how can it make my knee pain go away? It was incredible.
Come to the Good Feet Store today and see what we can do for you. Good Feet arch supports are in stock and available in over 300 different styles and sizes.
Thanks to the Good Feet Store.
Stop in today at the Good Feet Store.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want to tell you about our famous "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. That's right, it's a warranty you don't need, but we give it to you anyway. Let me explain. Most warranty problems for siding, gutters, and windows are caused by not installing stuff right in the first place. If you rush the work, cut corners, or use subpar materials, you're just begging for problems later. At RGS Exteriors, we don't tolerate careless workmanship. We slow down, focus on every detail, and use only the best materials. We prevent warranty work by doing the job right in the first place. That's why the 10-year everything guarantee we give you is also known as our "You Don't Need a Warranty" warranty. We absolutely will be there if you need to use it. But honestly, you probably will never have to. Done right the first time. That's the RGS way. For siding, gutters, and windows, call 801-280-3110 or visit us at rgsexteriors.com.
You've lived with the pain long enough. The missed meals, covered smiles, the moments you've avoided because of your teeth. If you're living with missing or broken teeth or struggling with dentures, take your life back. Stubbs Dental Implant Center has helped thousands reclaim their health, confidence, and joy with permanent dental implants. What do Stubbs dental patients say?
I'm no longer in pain, and I can finally be myself again after getting dental implants. I just wish I would have gone to Stubbs Dental sooner.
I was at a denture for 10 years before I got dental implants. My life has completely changed thanks to Stubbs Dental.
You know, I hated looking at myself in the mirror. Getting dental implants from Stubbs Dental has been life-changing.
As a 3-time Best of State winner with over 2,500 5-star Google reviews, Stubbs Dental doesn't just fix teeth, they change lives. Visit StubbsDental.com today to reserve your free consultation. A $350 value completely free. StubbsDental.com.
If you need new windows and you live in Utah, there's only one choice. There are other window companies, but they're more expensive and their windows aren't made in Utah for Utah's ever-changing climate. Advanced Window Products has been building state-of-the-art windows right here in Salt Lake for 39 years. And since they're the factory, they cut out the middleman and you save 30, even 40% on new windows. Plus, right now as they book for fall, Advanced Windows will give you $2,500 off on 10 windows or more. They build the windows, install the windows, and guarantee them for life. And since they're right here in Utah, if you have a problem years from now, just call them. They'll come over. Advanced Windows offers 0% financing, buy now, pay later. They're affordable. Get your new windows and get the energy savings before we get to winter. $2,500 off. Call them, 801-850-9100. That's 801-850-9100, or go to advancedwindows.com.
Getting help with electrical repairs is easier than you think. All you have to do is call Any Hour Services or schedule an appointment at anyhourservices.com. No one helps more homeowners than Any Hour Services.
And expanded Inside Sources. Inside Sources.
It is a big week for back to school. We've been talking about it all week. Some districts have already started, but the Alpine School District, Granite School District, and students in other school districts will pack the halls to start the new year starting tomorrow, which means, you know what? Many students and parents are stressing out over that first day, and especially, what are you going to wear? On your first day back to school.
It's so interesting that it has to be the perfect outfit. So our almost 11-year-old is going into 6th grade, and boy, I'm telling you, she had to plan it. She knows the jewelry. I wanted to take her out to dinner tonight as the get ready to go back to school, and she's like, I don't have time. I have to shower and be ready. And I'm like, you can shower after we have dinner. And she's like, oh, Mom.
Do you know what they say, though, about first impressions? I mean, I did it. I was guilty as anyone. When I went back to school, even as I was in junior high and high school, that first day, there's new kids.
Yeah.
Sometimes if you're going into junior high or going into high school, it's a whole new school. Everybody. I mean, I don't see any problem with it at all. But you would take the time to think, okay, I've got these clothes, because the next day, you're like, who cares?
I know.
But that first day, you've got to come out of the chute looking strong, get your hair cut.
The other important day is picture day, right?
Right.
So, look, we want to ask our listeners, do you have practical tips on making the first day of school go as smoothly as possible? Text us at 57500, your hacks for making the first day as smooth as possible. But I do want to ask you, you and I have been out of school for a while.
A bit, yes.
Do you remember any of your first day back to school outfits?
I do, for one reason.
And?
My mom always took pictures of us.
Okay.
And she always took pictures of back to school. And it was weird. If you look at these pictures, they're kind of goofy. You'd see my sister, my brother, and I all in our back to school outfits, and they were identical.
Yeah.
Like, I can't even, like, looking back right now, I'm like, did I really wear the same shirt and pants as my brother and my sister had sort of the matching outfit? But yeah, we did that.
Our family used to do matching outfits too, but not necessarily for back to school. I had to think about it, actually, and I remembered one. And it was the year I went into 7th grade, so it was my first year in junior high, and this was in the 70s. This would have been like 76 maybe. So clothing choices were weird at the time, but the reason I remember is because I actually could go and I had my own money I could spend on a shirt. And so I got this shirt. I was living in Colorado at the time. I got this shirt that had peace signs on it, peace and love, and the hippie stuff. And bell-bottom pants.
Yeah.
They were a bad idea the first time around. I do not know why they're making a comeback or why they did. That's so weird.
I remember that it was important that you wore Levi's 501 jeans.
Yeah.
You had to have Levi's 501s. They had to be a little bit weathered.
Yeah.
And we would take the bottom cuff out hem.
Yeah, oh, yeah.
And fray it a little bit.
Oh,
but
yeah.
if you did it that day, you looked like a dweeb. You had to at least run it through the washing machine 3 or 4 times. So my mom was like, "No, we're not doing that." Well,
let me tell you,
I have to, Mom.
As a mom, I thought it was the style where you already have ripped holes in your jeans. I'm like, I'm not paying good money to buy you jeans with holes in them. Just wait a little while, and your jeans will look
and
like
you'll
that
have
anyway.
Holes in it. Well, that's why you should buy the back-to-school jeans in May and let them wear them all summer and
Or hand-me-downs.
do what they need to do so that by the time you get back to school, they look pretty weathered.
Yeah. Yeah, look, I have to say this. We do have a texter actually who says, be willing to make friends and help out others. It's such an important key, right? It's not all about the child. In fact, if they can reach out and be friend to someone else, that really helps a lot. When we were sending our kids to school, as you know, we had a big family, and we did a lot of the hand-me-downs. The kids would get new shoes if they needed them, right? And I think I mentioned before, when my oldest one time hit his big growth spurt, he changed shoe sizes 3 times in one summer. And because he was the oldest, there were no hand-me-downs. We had to go buy new shoes 3 times. But I think it's important to be sensitive, too, that not everybody can say, hey, let's go back to school shopping and pick the perfect outfit from a store, because you can get great items and great looks. And I will tell you that, again, Jazzy, our 11-year-old, she will tell me, she uses the slang that's so funny, right? But she's telling me about her fit, meaning the outfit, and how it has to have a certain vibe and it has to look a certain way, right? And I feel like the really old parent, which I am, as she's explaining to me how important it is to have this put together look. And so she's got some layers and she's ready to go.
Yeah. I'm looking at some of the ideas for parents, and I can't agree with these much more than I do. But, and I tell people this when we go to court and they say, what should I wear? Be comfortable.
Yeah.
Wear
I would say dress up, man.
No. Obviously you dress up. But if you're wearing something that you look stiff in,
Mm-hmm.
I mean, you know what I mean?
Yeah.
You dress as the whatever you wear when you walk out of the house and you go, man, I look good today. You know what I mean?
Yeah.
Even if it's not as dressy as you might think. And I would say the same with kids. If you're wearing clothes that are uncomfortable or they're not quite fitting right, even though they looked good on the mannequin, that's not the best way to go back to school your first day.
Yeah.
Be comfortable. Be comfortable with, and there's a lot going on here. Another one that I think is really important is when you're going back to school shopping, involve your kid. Have them be involved in the purchase. Don't just go.
Especially as they get older, for sure.
My mom used to just go buy clothes,
matching
and you're
outfits.
like, Mom, those are not 501s. I can't wear those. You don't understand.
Yeah.
Well, they were on sale. Okay.
Yeah. And again, that's age appropriate. So when my kids were kindergartners, they didn't have nearly as developed opinions as the kids as they got older, for sure. But one of the things too that you reminded me of is it's important for the clothes not only to be comfortable, but that you feel good in them. Right. And I have a friend who we turn to her. Some of the political friends that I have, we'll turn to this friend and we'll say to her, what's your advice? Because she's so put together all the time. She's got a great fashion eye. What do you think about this outfit? Her first question will be, how do you feel in it?
Yeah, exactly.
And if you don't feel like $1 million, don't get it.
Yeah, and you reminded me of something too. You said you take the kid out to dinner tonight. She's like, no, I need to get ready. I was sort of the opposite as a parent. The kid's like, hey, I've got school tomorrow. I'm like, okay, we need to get lined out. Let's get you some good clothes. Because to me as a parent, that first day of school, you're like, well, please come home happy. Please come home the first day and tell me everything.
We've been preparing for a month. So
there you go. Yeah, you're good. Those days are behind me. But.
And this works for me too. This hint, if you pick your outfit the night before, right? Then you don't have to stress, right? Saves time in the morning, but you don't. My daughter, it takes her about 30 minutes to actually wake all the way up when she's not waking up on her own schedule, when she has to follow an alarm clock. And if she has to make a decision during that time, she's very cranky. But if you pick the outfit out the night before, super helpful.
And I would say this to parents. Don't think there's a difference between boys and girls. Boys want to look good their first day too. I've seen that in every way. They might tell you, no, it doesn't matter. But no, they want to look good. For their friends and for the other kids in the school, you got to look like you know what you're doing and that you know what the latest styles are.
Yeah, Yeah.
Get them what they want.
Well, your mom was doing this too, and I've done it with my kids. It's don't forget to take a picture before they head out the door. In fact, it's one of the things that my daughter is sad about tomorrow because I'll be on the road up here to the job when she leaves, and she's like, "But Mom, who will take my picture?" Right? And I'm like, "You can tell your dad to take the picture, but he could." She might have to inspect it and make him redo it if she doesn't like it.
So I used to despise my mom taking a picture of us when we went back to school, but now,
it's so fun.
now I'm glad we
Yeah.
have them. Now
Yeah.
I look back on those.
I
and
do a
think,
first day and a last day because you can see how much the kids change during the school year. It's always kind of crazy, but you know this. I went back to school as an older adult, and I started doing first day back, and so I'd be like, first day of 20th grade.
when you're in your 30s and going.
I was in my
you were even
50s.
past
Yeah,
that.
I was in my 50s, but going back for graduate degrees and stuff. And the kids thought it was funny, and I think it's funny too, right? Because it's like, yeah, I'm going back to school too.
I'll probably get a nasty text for this, but I actually think uniforms are the way to go. And I didn't have any. Well, yeah, we did have one child that went to private school for a little while, and she wore a uniform.
Mhm.
And I just
Yeah.
remember how easy that
Oh,
was,
yeah.
and no competition,
Yeah.
no
Yeah.
whose is better than whatever, and you didn't
Yeah.
have to get the latest look, and they were always cute. You just make sure they're clean and nice.
A
and
lot
on
of
their
my
way.
kids
I
went to
thought
a charter school with
made a lot of
uniforms.
sense.
I thought that was fantastic.
Yeah,
What a great idea. Yeah, same reason. So easy. So we have another texter, and they make a really good point, and we should have made it sooner. Teach your kids that looks are great, but good personality will impress others and teachers. I think kindness has to be number one, and really the beauty that's inside. And we're talking about clothes, and if people need help, there's resources for people who need help for back to school. But it really is the personality. And one of the things I don't want my kids to ever do is to be part of the group that looks down on others and makes them, be part of the in group. That means somebody's the out group. I never want my kids to be bullies.
Yeah.
Right.
And
Not cool.
I used to think that, and I know we're running out of time here, that you've got to get your first week of clothing out. After that, you're good. Not just the first day, but line it out for the Monday, Tuesday, Wednesday, Thursday, Friday. Even if
they start on Wednesday, so it's only 3 days. Wednesday,
3 days.
Thursday, Friday.
That's even better.
Yeah.
When we come back, we've all experienced a grudge that you just can't let go of. Well, after the break, we'll discuss a method that may help you release that grudge on your own without ever receiving an apology letter from the other person. Stay with us. And remember, stay with us on KSL News Radio. You can stream us on the KSL News Radio app, sponsored by At Your Service Pros, when we come back.
11:30 at KSL News Radio. I'm Becky Bruce. KSL's top local story this hour. Plans to turn downtown Salt Lake into an urban area are moving forward. KSL News Radio's Heather Kelly has the latest.
Several improvements for South Salt Lake have been approved in recent months. The latest is connecting the city's northern edge to the core of the city. Building Salt Lake reports the Planning Commission just voted for adding new housing and retail space to 100 acres surrounding the Central Point track station, as well as adding more stops to the S line. However, getting it funded and changing zoning still needs to happen.
Approving the plans would be the first step under state law to move forward with the changes in South Salt Lake. Our top national story this hour from ABC News. President Trump's Capitol takeover has begun. Hundreds of National Guard troops are now on the streets of Washington, D.C.
800 National Guard troops are being deployed. We're being told by the Army that 100 to 200 troops are going to be working at any given time, essentially being just support teams for law enforcement. They're not going to be doing anything exactly law enforcement on the ground, but more of just a presence. And the Army tells us that there are three main tasks that they are going to be doing. One is administrative, other one's logistics, and then that physical presence as well.
That's ABC's Perry Russum reporting. Your money at this moment, the Dow up 445 points this hour, S&P 500 up about 60. Coming up, triple-digit heat on tap. KSL weather is next. KSL News Time, 11:31.
The sources where we get our news matters.
When you listen to Utah's Morning News, we want you to feel the stories are important to you and trustworthy. This is Amanda Dixon.
And I'm Andy Farnsworth. Join us weekday mornings on KSL News Radio.
I didn't just lose 82 pounds in 16 weeks. I lost fear. I lost shame. I lost that nagging voice in my head that told me I couldn't do it. I thought weight loss meant being hungry or miserable. Soda showed me something different. I wasn't starving. I wasn't white-knuckling it throughout the day. I was learning. I was eating real food, texting my nutritionist when I had a question or hit a wall. People asked if I do it again, and I tell them I do it twice. Because what I got back, my energy, my focus, my sense of control. This isn't about fitting into skinny jeans. It's about showing up for life. Go to sodaweightloss.com. Put the request your nutritionist callback. SOTA, it stands for State of the Art. SodaWeightLoss.com. You can do this. You know how I know you can do it? Man, I did it. And I like to eat. SodaWeightLoss.com.
Soda is, say it with me, state of the art.
Tim Jr. here from RGS Exteriors. I want you to know that it's the little things that count. Any remodeler can say they treat customers right when it comes to siding, gutters, windows, and exteriors. It's hard to know for sure. If a contractor uses cheap generic nails instead of super grippy ridge shaft nails for your siding, would you even know? If they use cheap $4 caulk to install your new windows instead of paying $9 a tube for the good stuff, could you tell by looking? It all comes down to the details and trust. At RGS Exteriors, we only do things one way, the right way. We never cut corners. We never skimp on details. We never do less than the job requires. That's why we offer our industry's exclusive 10-year everything guarantee. And it's why we have the happiest customers. If you need any gutters, siding, or replacement windows, call RGS Exteriors at 801-280-3110 or visit rgsutah.com. That's 801-280-3110 or online at rgsutah.com.
If you're ready to buy a home or sell a home and you're worried about the current real estate market because of what you've heard from some of your friends or family, well, we're here to tell you that you really shouldn't be worried because now is a great time to buy and sell with our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
And here's why. Buyers have more options due to increased inventory, which gives them the power to negotiate for repairs, interest rate buy-downs, and closing cost assistance. While at the same time, sellers are still getting top dollar for their homes, with home values that are higher today than ever before. So whether you're looking to buy or sell, the current real estate market presents a win-win opportunity for both buyers and sellers.
But you still do want to make sure that you're working with a team of real estate experts you can trust that can get you some great results. And that's our friends at the Stern Team, powered by Omada Real Estate.
They have helped thousands of Salt Lake City homeowners, and they're ready to help you. To get started, just go to thesternteam.com. That's thesternteam.com or Google The Stern Team.
Traffic and weather together brought to you by Mountain America's My Style checking account. Let's check in with Heather Kelly.
Well, we have something happening southbound I-15 in the Farmington area. Now, for a while, the two right lanes were completely stopped about a mile before you get to the Park Lane exit. Now, it's starting to move again, so I don't know if there was debris or perhaps a stalled vehicle, but that's also where we have construction going on, so maybe a barrel went loose into traffic. But right now, you're starting to move again, leaving Kaysville into Farmington, and that was the only slowdown that we had across the Wasatch Front, either north, south, east, or west. UTA is road therapy. Give your car a break and get more U-time. Plan your trip at Ride UTA or on the Transit app. Heather Kelly in the KSL Traffic Center.
We're looking at hot, sunny conditions today with a high of 96. Some clouds move in tomorrow, but we'll have a high of about 100 degrees. After that, cloudy and back to the high 90s. Right now, sunny, 85 degrees in Salt Lake City, 83 in Provo. I'm Becky Bruce from the KSL Common Spirit Health Studios. Listen online at kslnewsradio.com. We are Utah's news, traffic, and weather station.
The all-new Inside Sources. Inside Sources. Your inside access to the people and policies shaping Utah's future. Here are Greg Skordas and Holly Richardson on KSL News Radio.
We've all experienced a grudge that you just can't let go of. You can't forgive. You can't move on. You just hold on to that for so long, and you're sort of waiting for an apology that maybe never comes.
You know, it can be more than a grudge too, right? You can have some really big things that happen, and when you hold on to it, the easy quote about not forgiving, and that's what we're going to be talking about in this segment. But the easy quote is to say, you know, holding on to a grudge or holding on to anger is like drinking poison and hoping the other person dies.
Right. Well,
it can be toxic.
Right. We are joined this morning by Lois Collins from the Deseret News to talk about something that she wrote about that I think is really interesting, which is this idea of a forgiveness letter, which sometimes doesn't get sent.
Usually probably should not be sent. The concept is that you
need to unpack that bag of rocks that you've been carrying around, and writing it out is a really good way to do it. But you address it to the person that has harmed you in some way, or that you perceive has harmed you in some way. You outline anything you want to say, and you don't actually, if you're not going to send it, you could actually be fairly unbridled too. You unpack your feelings in this letter, and then you end it with, I forgive you. And we have to be clear that I forgive you does not mean that I hope you don't go to jail because you did this terrible thing, or I want to be friends with you. It does not mean that I want a relationship with you. It means that I am unloading the bag of rocks that I am carrying.
Mm-hmm.
But it comes with a lot of caveats. And one of the biggest caveat is that you don't send it most of the time unless someone has asked you for forgiveness. If someone says, can you forgive me for this? I'm so sorry I did this, Holly. Can you forgive me? And you want to write out how it made you feel and you want to send it to me, then that's perfectly fine. I asked for it. If I didn't ask for it and you send me that same letter, I could very well be, what are you talking about? And then I respond back, and it amps up and it amps up, and the bag of rocks gets bigger. So sending it is not the point of the exercise.
Mm-hmm.
Writing it out is.
Can you tell us why writing is so important rather than just say, oh, I'm ruminating in my head?
Well, for one thing, when you ruminate, and we all do this, when somebody really upsets us, we play it over and over and over in our mind, and it gets bigger and it shifts around and we get mad, and writing it is literally a way, and this is backed by science, it literally flows from your brain down through your arm onto this piece of paper, and at least some of it's not going to flow backwards.
Right.
And so you are going to release some of your feeling. You've expressed yourself, you've thought about it, and you can let at least some of it go.
When I read the article, I was thinking, why write the letter if you're not going to send it? But the more I read it, the more I thought, of course you don't want to send it. Not always, because that could be as harmful as to the recipient. You know what I mean?
To both of you.
Right, because
you
I
don't
forgive
see
you for
things.
being a horrible person. Well, what are you talking about? I wasn't, you know what I mean? Like,
yeah, and you don't see things the same way necessarily.
Right.
Yeah.
The other thing about writing the letter is that it does need to be sort of in letter form in that case, simply because you're addressing it to someone specific. It's the things that you assume they need to know, even though you're not actually going to tell them.
Mm-hmm.
There's one other thing that can't be lost in this. There are a lot of people who are not ready to write a letter of forgiveness, but they would like to somehow figure out how to start a process of forgiving someone. And there's a beautiful workbook out there that takes about 2 hours to complete. It's a writing exercise too. It's been vetted by science, and I would love to give you guys the link to it. I can't. It's called the Link Workbook. If you go to the article that I wrote, you can find the download link, but it doesn't actually have an address on it. It just, you click it and you get download. But it's a beautiful exercise, and it helps you figure out where you are in the forgiveness process, or if you are even in the forgiveness process. And I think it moves you closer to it.
We actually have a texter who asked this question, and I have had this experience. What if someone's holding a grudge against you, and like, you know that there's something there, you didn't intend any harm? Like, do you think this would apply the same way or in a different way, or what do you think?
It's probably a little bit different, but I think you could say honestly, I'm so lost in this. I'm not quite sure that I'm seeing it the way you do. I think in a case like that, a side-by-side conversation is better because you can ask questions. But I think if you say, if you're open to it, if you're really willing to accept a forgiveness letter and you really don't understand, then maybe it works very well.
Yeah.
I think it depends on the relationship. I just think that if you don't reach out and ask for it and you get something like this, it could be very yikes. What is this? And we all are prone toward being self-protective and defensive. And intent matters, but it doesn't always make a difference to the effect it has.
Yeah.
So you can see two things, both things can be true.
Yeah.
So you talked about the letter and the sort of the weight going on, the rocks, the bag of rocks, or whatever, however you described it. Is that part of the reason for this letter, is just to unload that from your mind. Whether you send it or not, you've expressed that, you've forgiven, you're moving on in your own heart.
You're unpacking it and you're letting it go. And that has, whether you ever have a relationship with the person, and a lot of people do, they don't send the letter, but they feel differently about the person. They're able to be in a room with them. They don't have the same anger. They don't have the same boiling point, trigger point stuff. So yeah, that is part of it. But it's mostly the forgiveness letter is to set you free from something that's harmful. And the example that Arthur Brooks gives is a monkey that reaches. There's a monkey trap.
Yep.
It's a coconut that has a hole the size of a monkey's fist that the monkey can put his hand in the hole, and it's filled with rice. So he reaches in and he tries to grab the rice out, but if his hand's full of the rice, he can't get out. He's trapped. We trap ourselves with the things that we hold on to sometimes. So we're like monkeys, and you have to choose to let go.
You know, it's interesting also you talk about, because I see this a lot in the criminal justice system with these what are called victim impact letters, where you see these and people will say, I forgive you, but, you know, I'm writing a letter to the judge. I have moved on from this horrible thing. I've forgiven, but I think that there has to be some consequences for the conduct as well.
And that's very much built into this. It's all the experts that I talk to make it clear that the forgiveness letter is for you,
right,
to help set you free.
That's right.
It does not interfere with justice. It doesn't interfere with your participating in helping get justice. It doesn't say that if I write a letter to an old boyfriend and say I forgive you for this and this, it does not mean that I want to be with that old boyfriend.
Right.
You know, so you're not saying our relationship will be the same as it was. What you're saying is, I am not carrying this around with me anymore. I am letting it go, and I'm letting you and this situation go. And then where you go from there is up to you.
Right. And you, like you said, you don't even have to send it. You know, it strikes me, too, that you could write a letter to yourself.
Oh,
right?
Lots of people write letters to themselves over things. I talked to one woman, and I didn't end up using her in this story because it was really personal, but she talked about having to give herself for things she'd done when she was younger and ways that she maybe had not paid proper attention to her kids when she should have because she had an addiction problem. And she could not move forward even with her family without forgiving herself for the things she couldn't change. So we all have things that we're ashamed of or we're embarrassed by or that ways that we hurt ourselves. And so a forgiveness letter works there too.
Yeah.
I've spent the last 10 minutes thinking of writing some. So forgive me, Lois, for being distracted with my own issues.
Nice talking to you.
Thank you for joining us again, Lois.
It's Left-Handers Day, and I'm left-handed, and so I'm going to share my misery from having been left-handed for so long and tell you some of the issues challenges that I faced when we come back.
Back to school means back to routine, but don't forget about the mess underfoot. Start this school year fresh with Zero-Res carpet and air duct cleaning. Did you know your carpets can trap up to 40 pounds of dust, dirt, and debris each year? Zero-Res uses patented technology to clean with no sticky soaps or harsh chemicals. Just patented ZR water for a deep clean that's safe for kids, pets, and your peace of mind. Your carpets dry fast, stay cleaner longer, and come with a 30-day gotta love it guarantee. Right now, get 3 rooms plus a free hallway for $119 and 15% off air duct cleaning. Schedule today at Zero-Res.com. That's Zero-Res.com. Spelled the same forward or backward. Zero-Res is the right way to clean. Zero-Res.com. Respiratory virus season is quickly approaching, meaning we'll see more flu, COVID, and RSV in our community. The good news is vaccines are available that will help prevent these infections and keep people healthy. For flu and COVID, everyone aged 6 months and older are recommended to be vaccinated to help protect ourselves and our families against serious illness. Fall remains the best time to be vaccinated. Respiratory viruses circulate year-round, but peak late fall through winter. Your doctor can recommend which vaccines are best for you and your family.
Brought to you by Intermountain Health and KSL News Radio.
Keeping your engines healthy means protecting them in season and out. Experts trust Stable to do that. And third-party testing confirms it. Stable is the industry leader in preventing fuel-related issues, no matter if you use it in your car, boat, or outdoor power equipment. In season or out, at every fill-up or when you store, start with Stable.
This is the story of the one. As a lineman, he does whatever it takes to keep the power on in his community. And he wants a partner like Grainger who does the same. Grainger offers the professional-grade products he needs, from voltage detectors to harnesses to hard hats, plus fast, dependable delivery, so he can rise to every challenge. Call 1-800-GRAINGER, click Grainger.com, or just stop by. Grainger, for the ones who get it done.
An emergency can happen any second. Here's a few seconds to think about where you'd go. When you need medical care fast, the closest emergency room is a smart thing to know. Common Spirit Health ERs are your direct path between feeling scared or uncomfortable and feeling better. Find emergency care in your neighborhood at mountain.commonspirit.org.
This is Derek Miller speaking on business. Founded in 1953, Whitaker Construction has grown into one of the largest utility and heavy civil contractors serving the Intermountain area. With offices in Brigham City, Ogden, Magna, and St. George, they provide a variety of services across the state. President Brett Nielsen joins us with more.
Utah's growth depends on strong infrastructure. For more than 70 years, Whitaker Construction has supported that growth through critical underground utility and heavy civil construction projects. Our work supports daily life, from clean water and natural gas to earthwork, roadways, and wastewater systems. Much of what we build gets buried when it's complete, and we take great pride in that. When our work goes unnoticed, that's how we know we've done it right. What sets us apart? Whitaker Construction is 100% employee-owned. Our nearly 700 employee owners have a stake in our success, and it shows in the pride, quality, and care we bring to every project. Our core values include valuing safety, being honorable, embracing ownership, and elevating team. These principles guide us as we serve communities across this great state. At Whitaker Construction, we're proud to build the best people, communities, and future.
Whitaker Construction is helping build a stronger, more connected Utah through essential infrastructure projects that support daily life. To explore their services and impact, visit whitcon.com and see how they're building Utah's future every day. I'm Derek Miller with the Salt Lake Chamber, speaking on business.
We're giving away a chance to win a free air conditioner to anyone who's commented on our YouTube videos. So go to Healthy Water and Air and comment today. Some restrictions apply, so see YouTuber at yourservicepros.us for details.
Inside Sources.
You know, today is a happy day. It's just a fun day. It's actually Election Day today.
It's primary election day. And Lieutenant Governor Deidre Henderson joined us earlier in the show to talk about turn in your ballot today.
This is the first election after the new change to the law that passed earlier this year that says that instead of having a postmark deadline, remember we used to say, okay, postmark your ballots the day before Election Day, and then, you know, whenever they get there, they'll get counted as long as they're postmarked the day before Election Day. That is no longer the law. Now, it doesn't matter when your ballot was postmarked. It has to be in your clerk, your election official's hand by close of polls on Election Day. So it's too late to postmark it, obviously, but you can put it in a drop box. That counts until 8 p.m. tonight, or you can go vote in person.
So if you need a reminder of where those drop boxes are, or where your in-person voting locations are, you can go to vote.utah.gov and you put your address in and it'll tell you where to go.
And I voted. I want you to know, there's not a lot going on. There are not a lot of municipalities that have elections, and some are doing ranked choice voting, so they were just waiting until the general election.
Yeah.
But yeah, if you didn't get a ballot, it may be because there's nothing going on in your particular municipality.
Maybe, but you can always check, right? And I will say the lieutenant governor said it's kind of crickets out there. That as of about 9 o'clock this morning, so polls have been open for 2 hours, the entirety of Salt Lake County had seen 38 voters, right? So we got to get out there, people. Come on.
And we were at something like 17%, which is abysmal too.
Yeah. Okay. So I usually do the fun facts of the day, but you get to do fun facts of the day today. What day is it today, Greg?
So this one is near and dear to me, and I don't think about it a lot because I'm been this way for a long time, but it's Left-Handers Day.
Yeah.
And I think that, I mean, people don't, I don't know how many percent of the population is left-handed, but I'm left-handed, and I've been that way, obviously, my whole life. And, people say, well, left, right, whatever. But when I was a kid, I remember we used to have these desks, and I don't know that they have them anymore, but they basically were on your right-hand side, and they came around in a curve so that the right-handed person could put their arm on the desk, put their hand on the paper, and write. A left-handed person had to come all the way around, and because of that,
that's why you write funny.
A lot of us lefties write with this big curved hand that kind of goes over. And I remember my pinky finger would always be covered with ink or lead from a pencil, whatever, because I dragged whatever I was writing on my hand all day. So I'm just pouting after so many years, but it was a problem.
It's so interesting. And, one of the things that's interesting to me about left-handedness, it actually accounts for about 10% of the population, by the way. There's more boys than girls who are left-handers, and it's genetic. Like, you can trace it back through your family tree. Left-handers, even as recently as a generation ago, sometimes it was considered wrong or bad, right? And I had that with a family member of mine. It's like, we're gonna make sure you can't write left-handed, and had their hand slapped if they use their left hand. And it's like this is a thing. Like, why do you think this is bad?
Yeah, and I don't remember anyone telling me to not do it, but I can tell you this, and I don't know whether this is specific to left-handed or not, but I cannot, to this day, write in cursive. I can sign my name. That's the only cursive I do.
Interesting. Because of the way the letters go.
Flows for a right-handed person.
Oh, yeah.
And so I print everything. I mean, years and years later, I just can't write cursive. And I did. I remember having those little lined books in grade school where you try to do that. But, man, I cannot do cursive.
So I know with my kids that are left-handed, sometimes, like, if they sit at the dinner table, we have to make sure there's enough room, or they sit at the edge. Is that something you've found too as well?
You think about it. You think about it in advance. My wife will never sit on my left side because we bump elbows, and she'll say, "Man, you can't sit there." So I just immediately, when I go to a table, when I'm with guests and friends, I'll just sit on the left side, the far left seat.
Yeah, so
you don't get to
bump
sit
elbows.
in the middle. You don't get to be more social. You always sit on the end, the left end, because your elbow is not going to bug anybody else.
Yeah. What else have you struggled with?
I'm left-handed.
Yeah.
Writing was just hard, and eating, I don't know why, the sort of the way people place forks and knives and everything, and eating left-handed, and always having, bumping into people. I know it's silly. I'm way overstating it. One thing I have is, it's a weird phenomena in that some things I do right-handed. That is, like if I threw a baseball, I would throw it with my right hand.
Oh, interesting.
If I, shot a gun, I do it right-handed. The things I do left-handed are eat and write, and those things I specifically do left-handed. I mean, I can't begin to do anything. Those things right-handed.
So hope you don't break your left arm anytime.
Yeah, and I have. I've broken my left wrist before, and I'm hopeless.
So really interesting. There's actually an occupational therapy site that has some advice for helping your left-handed child. So if you are a parent out there who has a child who's left-handed and you want some input, some of the stuff that they mentioned that I had never thought of is using a can opener. Right? Because there's like a top and a bottom. I had never even thought about that, how awkward that must be.
Right, it is.
Or scissors, right? Where they have like the thumb hole is different size than the fingers, and you're cutting upside down.
Writing with a 3-ring binder or a spiral notebook.
Oh, yeah.
Because the spiral and the rings are on the left side, so your arm is over them.
Oh,
I know that
weird. Does not sound comfortable, actually. It's hard for lefties. This article says to put in finger spaces between words, right? Trying to get the right size, or using a computer mouse even. Those are interesting things. I think some of the weird folklore around left-handedness, right, is that it was like bad spirits, or it was an evil influence or something that made you be left-handed. And sometimes folklore, I just want to roll my eyes and say, come on, people.
You know what's funny, and I know we're running out of time, but a lot of people notice. People will sit down, they'll be talking to you, and they'll say, I didn't know you were left-handed. As though I didn't know you had green eyes. You know what I mean? Like,
Yeah.
what difference does it make? I didn't know you were left-handed.
Yeah.
Okay,
Do you
I am.
find it probably doesn't? Do you find that makes any difference in using a computer? Probably not, right?
No, but now that you mentioned the mouse thing, I always have to use it with my right hand.
Oh, yeah.
Which is awkward because
Oh.
I don't know. I just can't.
Interesting. Yeah. Okay. All right. Another fun fact of the day today. No, these are fun facts.
Okay. Good.
So, U.S. President Eisenhower on this day in 1955. So, what does that make that? 70 years today. 70 years ago today, President Eisenhower raised the minimum wage from 75 cents to $1. Woo!
That's
70 years ago.
unbelievable that in as recently as 1955, that doesn't seem that long ago. The minimum wage was 75 cents an hour. I mean, how do you?
Well, and then it
survive?
became $1.
They raised it to
What's interesting
$1.
to me is that when I started, let's see, 55, 65, 75, 25 years later, it was only $3.25.
Yeah, when I started working, would have been 72. I think that the minimum wage was like $2.
Yeah, that's like, see, it's not making big increases.
No, we're not. What are we up to today? $7.50. It's not
$7.25.
Yeah, not even a livable wage.
Oh, yeah. So we have several people. My third grade teacher, texter says, separated the righties and the lefties when she was teaching cursive writing. And this person says, thanks to her, I hold my hand correctly and have pretty nice writing.
Now, see, why didn't I get that teacher? I had the world's best teachers. I'm not complaining at all, but I never learned how to write with my left hand.
Yeah. And one says their daughter's left-handed. One says, my brother was a lefty. I'm a righty. At Thanksgiving, I sat on the right and he sat on the left, so we wouldn't bump elbows, just like you said.
Right.
And one says that they were a left-hander who was forced, or at least being tried to be forced to be right-handed. My brother had that same issue. And then another one says that they're left-handed but have no problem using a computer mouse with the right hand, just kind of what you're saying, too.
Yep.
So interesting. So we did minimum wage. So there's another fun fact of the day. On this day in 1994, so again, I don't pay a ton of attention to professional sports, but professional baseball players went on strike, and it brought the Major League Baseball season to an end, and the World Series was canceled. Do you remember that?
Yeah,
94.
I do remember that, yes.
Yeah.
We were every sport had a strike during that decade, it seemed like, as we were trying to get and decide who was going to unionize and what they were going to do.
And then our final fun fact of the day, and this one, it always surprises me how long ago it was. On this day in 1939, The Wizard of Oz movie premiered.
And I'll have to say, as geeky as this sounds, one of my favorite movies.
Good afternoon, KSL News Time, 12 o'clock. This is Midday. I'm Becky Bruce, in for Maria Chaleos. KSL's top story this hour, we're getting new details on the fire that ripped through some of